for the people that can't make it. Can you guys see? Can you guys see the screen? Okay, so
Yes, all good.
nice. Okay, thank you, brother. Right. Okay, let's start with Bitcoin. We'll work our way down. First of all, Bitcoin here. Nothing's changed since the last time we looked at this. The last time we looked at this, all we saw was an SFP off the 3.14. Right, our extension level for the ABCD 4-point wave structure, nothing's changed. We're still there, and we're still rejecting off that three. Not rejecting off it, but we haven't gone above it yet. Right, we have no dreams of 132k, as long as 121,413 is still resistance. So what does this mean for us? It means that whereas obviously you're not going to be top blasting Bitcoin fully longing this here, and hopefully you guys aren't using Bitcoin as your focus for longs anymore anyway, right? Because there are, in terms of risk to reward, also the better proposition, better value proposition right now, not Bitcoin. You know, this one has had its move already. Don't forget, where did we come from? We didn't come from, 77k, right? That's not where we came from. We came from 15, right? Because sometimes people tend to forget the grand scheme of things. Don't forget, it's not like we've been in this uptrend just now. It's not like we're going into price discovery just now. We've been in price discovery for pretty much a year now, right? It's not quite a year yet, but it will be soon. Ever since we got above previous all-time highs, October of last year, we've been in price discovery. And in terms of moves up, well, that's ever since we bottomed out in 2022. Bitcoin's been moving up, right? So alts have way better value proposition, which is why I'm not giving any Bitcoin trades or anything like that currently. My thesis has been blow off top between the 3.14 and the 3.618 until proven wrong, right? And we've already hit the lower end of that target. So next I'll be looking for, a flip of 3.14 to take the trade higher to 132, or just, as long as you see weakness here, eventually some sort of range to form, perhaps back down towards 109 before we go higher. That could be something that happens too, right? Time will tell. I'm really not interested in Bitcoin at these prices, however. The move on this is done. We pretty much hit our extension targets. There is no risk management on this right now. There is no big life-changing trade to be taken on this right now. This is at a severe premium, so there is no point in my opinion looking at this with the idea of I'm going to be trading this to make a lot of money every day. It's just not going to happen here, right? I think it's now better to use this as a barometer of when is money flowing from Bitcoin to ETH to ALT, so on and so forth, in relation to total 1, total 2, total 3, others dominance, right? So on and so forth, right? Bitcoin dominance is better now to look at Bitcoin as that macro indicator until we get above 121,413. So not much else to be said. I could probably add, I think I was looking at this earlier. One sec. So this, yeah, let me get rid of these. This right here. Now, I think I was seeing some people put this down as a ABCD, and I can understand why people are doing it, but I think I'm not going to be paying this one that much attention. Well, I mean, to be honest, you could just call that a 382 if you wanted to, right? But I'm personally not going to be doing that. I'm just going to be sticking to the macro levels for now, just because we have something that's given us 382s or something very, very close to 382s already, right? So I'm just going to be sticking with the macro levels for now on Bitcoin. That's it. Number on this. We talk about this all the time. Nothing's changed, so there's no point wasting time just going over the same thing again and again. Next, let me go to Ethereum. Ethereum is right over here, and again, we cannot be surprised that we're seeing some resistance here on Ethereum, right? We can't. This is an area again that we've had on our screen for a long time. 3,700 was always 3,770. This was the target we were looking at last time we streamed, the time before that, the time before that, right? This is the level that's been on our screens forever, just because that is our historical key inflection area, right? 3,770. So we can't be surprised by rejecting off this. We're back at a significant area, right? So as long as we are below this, there is no longs to be taken on Ethereum. You are not going to be top blasting here. If you do, it's a gamble. Just understand it. Something very clear: either you sort of wait to reclaim this low for an entry, right, or you go and flip that mid before you enter again. Because for now, that is clear rejection. That isn't a sign of buyers are absolutely blasting through supply here. That is not what price action tells us here right now. Granted, it's only a couple of days worth of price action. However, we can only go off what is on our screen if we do price action analysis, right? So for now, Ethereum underneath resistance. Until this flips to support, there is no longs to be held on Ethereum either, until it either flips to support or you some sort of like, you go and base at the lows. You take some local liquidity and then you reclaim those lows. There is no trade to be had here on Ethereum. So just like BTC, nothing to be done. And this is also why the last time we did a stream, right, which was a few days ago. The last time we did a stream, I said that many things are now approaching resistance. I will not be looking for fresh, massive swing longs, sorry, right? Because many things did pump up to resistance, and since that day we had like 1 or 2 more days of green, but everything's been going sideways. Any pumps we have had has been met with under the red candle, then a green, then a red, then a green, then a red. We're getting this sort of chop because we haven't had that buy pressure to take us past resistance yet, right? So Ethereum back at resistance, but it's holding. That's the important thing. It is holding for now, right? As long as the key inflection area is not lost, we are fine. If the key inflection area is lost, however, we can expect moves back down towards even 3,000. You'd be completely fine on ETH, okay? You'd want that to be like a sort of slow and steady move down, in my opinion, right? But if you held it, again, just focus on the bigger picture. You will be getting a cumulative structure, just like you had a cumulative structure right over here. You'll be getting it in with the last sort of support to radon resistance to back to support again as well. I'm not guaranteeing you're going to get a pullback that deep, but if you do, and the cumulative structure holds, and sellers get trapped there, and you see the price action telling you buys are coming in, then that'd be the bid that I would take on Ethereum with some decent size, right? If you're going to size up, if you're going to add more spot, that would be a nice area to do so now. If we get it, big if, because I don't know if we get this, right? That's just me saying that's the next key level if this zone's ever lost on the higher time frame. So that's it. Otherwise, if you can reclaim this within the next few days, send it higher. 4,776, 5,890 to 953, and then ultimately 6,519. I don't think we go much higher than that. So that is Ethereum. Again, keeping it sweet, keeping it simple. Next, I would like to look at ETH against BTC, because this has been absolutely ripping, right? ETH against BTC is bidding so well, and we can't be surprised that we're seeing a bit of a bit of red here, when obviously we've had a severe pump up. We're now between the macro point of control and the 2020 12-month seller zone mid. Of course, it's an area of resistance, right? So we can't be surprised that we are seeing that that resistance coming in. However, just like to say, in terms of actual performance, right? In terms of actual performance, it doesn't get better than this, right? So on the challenge account for ETH against BTC, that is literally from what we started with, which was again $14, right? Because that's what we started with on ETH against BTC. It is $14, and we've gone from that through up to like 1,000 plus, right? It's absolutely crazy. And again, the reason I kept the ETH against BTC challenge account so low is to show you guys, because I already tried doing this once in 2023 when I took that $48 account to 16k. But there's obviously new people in the cycle, people who don't know about that, who haven't seen that. Might as well do a fresh one instead of talking about old ones, right? So just to show you do not need, and I repeat, you do not need much capital to get started in these markets, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that, right? If you can learn timing, if you can learn macro narratives and positioning with good RR, you don't need much to get started at all. So ETH against BTC has been a very clear outperformer, let's say, in terms of how well it's done, right? And it's not surprising, right? They got just put it in chat. That's literally like that's lunch to someone's like monthly wage probably, but it's good. Do you know what I mean? I'm not seeing the weakness I want yet to really trim. I could trim it here if I wanted to, but I don't want to trim just for the sake of trimming, right? So until the structure tells me we look absolutely cooked, like if we go and turn the point of control into resistance or something, I will trim some. I will wait for the pullback to die down, signs of again strength coming in. Maybe the B point gets flipped, maybe the fair value gap gets filled, who knows, right? Until the price action tells me, okay, we look ready for continuation, sit on my hands, and then once we look ready for continuation, then slam in way bigger size, utilize way more of the actual portfolio of for ETH against BTC, right? Because again, there's only like 2% of the portfolio is actually being used, right? 98% is just sat there. So once that goes in, then the next leg up will be even crazier in terms of returns, right? But the thing about sizing up, people think you can size up. It's easy to size up as soon as you're in the green. That's not the case. If you size up like a retard, then you're going to get stopped out, right? It's just what it is. It's not going to work out. You gotta treat size up exactly like you would any other form of trading. Just because you have that cushion of that safety net, let's say, right, to actually trade with, does not mean that you can now go and start, absolutely aping at random places at resistance, right? You still got to be careful what you size up. If you don't have a good size up opportunity, don't size up, right? Because why ruin your average and risk getting stopped out for no reason? Because right now momentum is dying down, right? We're getting a daily bearish engulfing candle. This isn't something I'm just going to go and size up on. If we start closing daily candles above the point of control, then maybe I'll start slowly layering in again. But until we get that sort of confirmation, I'm not going to be doing anything here, right? Until I see a clear sign of either weakness or strength. But that's ETH against BTC. Long way to go on this. Absolutely massive way to go on this, right? Even to the 618, even if we're not talking anything crazy, 618 is still basically a 2x away. 1.618, I don't think we go here. But should it choose to for whatever reason, that's 320% away. Again, I don't think we go here. But if ETH decides to go ham this cycle, it could very easily happen, right? But to keep it like to previous highs, the trend's been of course lower highs. So even if you go with it, maybe you get another lower high somewhere around here. I think anywhere between 100 to 130% is very much possible, even from where we currently are, right? So ETH against BTC, I'm looking forward to sizing up on this one. But let's take a look. That's that. So I want to look at some macro total charts, and then we'll look at some alts. But in the meantime, let's look at let's keep up with the chat. People shorting Sol. I think Sol looks strong, to be honest. What it did last time I checked. Let's take a look. Sup, bro? Sup, guys? Okay, let's go and let's take a look at master list. And first things first, you know what, this is getting a bit too messy. Actually, this is fine. USDT dominance. We have to be, of course, very careful as we approach this red line. Same red line from history, right? Same one that bounced us in 2024 before we got that sharp pullback across the board, right, for the start of this year. So we're approaching the third red line again. You're going to be very careful opening massive swing longs over here, right? It's as simple as that. There's been a time and there's been a place. We've been building swings for absolute months, right? We're not going to start building swings at absolute historical multi-year support now for USDT dominance chart, because we know the inverse correlation between this chart and the broader crypto market. Right, so what we want to see is this. We want to see a clean breakdown. If we don't get it here, we're probably going to look for something like this. But ultimately, we need confirmation that this and this is resistance. We haven't had either yet, right? So I won't be surprised if something like this were to happen, for example, some more chop, like maybe, like I said, a red August. I wouldn't be surprised with the red August. But if we did get a red August, we got a pullback and then a drop, I'd be completely open to that. If you get this scenario, I was, like I said, I've got, for the new challenge account I opened like a week ago now, I've got like 15k in spot left still, right? I found some more loose change to put together. I thought, fuck it, might as well open another one, right? Instead of like, wasting it on random shit. since the market's given us the opportunity to, why not just throw everything I can into this that I find just, you know, spare. But if you get that, that'll be like huge, you know, that to confirmation of a breakdown, that is massive swing opportunities for those that aren't in swings, right? That's if we get it though. We might not get it. We might do something like this. We might go sideways and then this. Who knows what's going to happen, right? But just bear in mind, if we do get that scenario, that'd be a very nice opportunity for you to enter any longs or any spot positions. Okay. Otherwise, we are, like I said, approaching very key areas that is historically extremely reactive to the upside, right? In fact, you've never broken down from this. So opening swing longs here and massive spot bids here probably isn't the best of ideas if you're talking in terms of risk to reward, right? You probably get better risk to reward trades even if this gives us a slight green candle for a pullback. We've had many red days, so a green day wouldn't be out of the question, wouldn't be out of the ordinary, right? So that's total one. Next I want to look at, sorry, that's USDT dominance. Next I want to look at Bitcoin dominance dropping. And the beautiful thing about Bitcoin dominance is, of course, if we take a look at this on the weekly, if we take a look at this on the 2 weeks even, technically speaking, in terms of structure, the last higher low that led to the higher high has been taken out with a bearish engulfing candle at that. And I believe the monthly closes in about 9 days. That monthly candle is a extreme bearish engulfing candle. I believe we have not had a candle like this yet. Not since 2020. No, we haven't. Look, last time we had the candle like this was literally 2021, right? August. If you take a look, ever since then, we haven't had any bearish engulfing candles. This one is the first one we've had. Add to your 1.618 for your ABCD. Add to your 2-week fair value gap, right? Add very key areas. So is Bitcoin good dominance going to top here? I don't know. Right, like I said, I'm not here to tell you where things are going to top with absolute precision, but we look at significant levels, we look at price action, and the price action right now says that we have firstly got a structure shift. Again, the last high low that led to the high high has been taken out with a bearish engulfing candle. So if this goes up, right, if this goes up and you start printing inverted smiley faces, for me, that, you know, if you were to start saying, okay, I think Bitcoin dominance is topped, I would be able to see your argument for that. I wouldn't be looking at you crazy, right? Because again, that is a structure shift. The last high low that led to the high high has been taken out on the weekly, on the 2 weeks. It hasn't done so on the monthly, technically speaking, right? Because on the monthly, I would take the last high low that led to the high high as this down here. But the problem with waiting for that on the monthly is, well, you've missed a huge portion of that move down by the time that's taken place. So your entries are going to be way later down the line, right? Should you choose to take those entries. So that's why I'm also looking at this on a weekly and a 2-week perspective. On those time frames, that is technically the last, you know, that is that change of character, right? So off this pump, let's say if we get any lower highs, that's going to be very bullish for altcoins. Okay. You know, if you don't get that lower high and it just keeps going up, then I would warrant you're probably going to get 70% plus before we go lower. But for now, that's very promising, right? Because again, you want this to top, right? You want Bitcoin dominance to top. If you're in altcoins, you want death to these charts. This chart right here, you want absolute death. Is what it is. So that's Bitcoin dominance. Let's take a look at. Let's see what's next. Total. Total looks absolutely bullish, absolutely zero, and I repeat, zero bearish things about this chart right over here. Okay. What can I say? Above 3.63 and 3.72 trillion, which were our pre-projected levels right over here. Right, you can see that 786 and the 0.5, right, the 2.0, the 1.272. Above those, the only things we have to go off right now in terms of just wave structure, I'm talking, is just the 2.24, 2.618, 3.14, 3.618, right? And I'm particularly liking for now this area because that is where the 4.42 trillion and the 4.47 trillion creates a nice little PRZ for us, right over here, right? We have the deep crab also, don't forget, XABCD, 1.618, 2. You know, whatever this is, 2.702. We could get the hop at the 2.0, right? But we'll talk about that if you get above these levels. For now, the next area where I'd want to see some sort of if you're going to fall to the next area where it makes sense to do so, somewhere like 4.47 trillion, right, 4.69, so on and so forth. Otherwise, you don't look at this chart and think, oh yeah, we're about to like have a severe pullback. Nothing about the price action here screams, oh, we're going to get a massive red candle tomorrow, right? That is pretty much a gamble if you're thinking along those lines. Total looks absolutely fantastic. It's in price discovery, right? It's in price discovery. Again, it's been in price discovery, but this is really, really nice. There's no resistance to the left. Nothing historically telling you here that we need to top out. So there's no reason to think along those lines, basically, right, to begin with. Now, total 2, get rid of this, this, and this, because the distributive structure has been invalidated, right? They faked people out with this, and then they said, fuck you, went higher. Currently at resistance, this goes to, this probably goes to highs very, very soon, right? Again, new projection levels. We have the 1.272 up here. The primary projection of this bat is up there. So this, for now, this is just a nice area to look at until new wave structure presents itself, right? And the new wave structure that's going to present itself might just come. In fact, let me do this. Hang on. These charts are getting a bit too messy, so I created a new channel literally just now before I opened the stream, called it clean, so that I have a fresh canvas to do TA for you guys in. But if we go to master list, let me go to total 2, let me delete all of this. Get out of here. There we go. Okay. Let's go from here. Let's take a look. Okay, so the last wave structure was, of course, the M shape. I'm interested in the W shape, so I'm going to throw down the general shape first, right? That's the macro, absolute macro shape. You can argue for this to be a bat, which you've hit, right? If you're looking at this like the bat, you have hit it. And the reason this can be a bat is, of course, that's very close to 0.5, right? You're probably within the allowed deviation range. However, we can also think of this, if you want to think in terms of peaks, as a 614, 615. And if that's the case, we cannot be surprised if this ever gives us a crab. There we go. So there is a target for us. Above that B point, we know there's a high probability that this might actually come out to play, right? So the only thing stopping us to going to D, the only thing stopping us going there is simply the all-time highs, right? There's 2 targets that's waiting for us right over here. If I was to do this, that's the target. You get above this, you have 2 trillion basically. It should be 1.618. Hang on. A good old cat and mouse game of trying to find that exact ratio. There we go. Here. So above this 2 trillion, that becomes the next target, which makes sense psychologically as well. 2 trillion is a nice whole number. That would become a very nice target for us to go towards. But we have this going for us too, right? So total 2 looks amazing. It's not cleared all its resistances yet, but all it needs to do is go and clear that resistance, and this is also in price discovery. Now, do we have anything else I can put down on this? So that low is 427.57. I believe that to be the lowest point. Okay, that is a 618. You can't tell me otherwise. Okay, so other forms of confluence. 618 to the 1.618. There we go. There's a ABCD. Right, let's draw out a nice PRZ for us to check back to in the future. This is AB equals CD 1.618. And we can probably find more. So let's do this. Oh, this is actually so nice. I don't know why I haven't done this sooner. Just create a new one with just for a fresh canvas. The 4-point wave structures are here. This is your crab 1.618. There we go. You know what, let's put this in the same as group 1. There. So we have a nice PRZ already, right? Nice one. But I'm sure that we can find more. So of course the other target we have going for us is, we know that this was a bat, very beautiful bat, pretty much a perfect 886, right? Very close to 1. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make this yellow. Yeah, there we go. $2.14 trillion, and again, let's make this, let's take my own flair out of this. I'm going to keep it very PG in terms of for the pure harmonic traders out there. There you go. So you can see very, very nice PRZ up here for us, right? First target 2 trillion, after that, 2.11 to 2.14 trillion. And we can stop right here. We can find more wave structures if we need, like I'm sure we could. What's this? That's another. Has this one been hit? This one's already been hit, so that's no longer valid. Well, if that's been hit, that will be the next one. We also have 1.13, but I mean, I think that gets taken out anyway, so I'm not going to put that down. So that is enough for us for now. There, total 2, very simple. Here's your targets for now, and if you go higher than that, then there'll be more structures that will tell us we're going to go higher than that, right? But for now, that's more than enough. So as you can see, total 2 still looks really, really good, right? There's really no reason. I mean, well, I suppose I can't say there is no reason when it's been happening before. Let's not forget the basics. Here, there is definitely a reason to be careful here, but as long as we are above 1.51 trillion, you guys know we are going to be bouncing to the upside. Okay, our key level for now is holding right there. That is your 2021 12-month seller zone mid. There. So for now, I'll just leave this and this on, because why not? Very simple, right? And if you ever lose this and we get a macro flush before we go higher, right across the board, this would be a nice pullback area to base in before we get that next leg up. So that's the total. And pretty much every total is going to be looking like this, right? So here's another one, total 3, another one I wanted to talk about. Total 3's had a nice move up, hence why I've also been doing absolutely fantastic. However, and that's a big however, currently we are at what hopefully you guys now come to see is a godly. Right? In fact, we've gone past the godly, we're approaching the deep godly. The godly 786 is right over here. We'll move on to alt soon, guys. And after the 786 of the godly, we know the next thing we're looking for is the 886, right? That's the deep godly. And I think, was it you, Rocky? I know someone pinged me. I remember seeing it when I was with a client at work. Someone pinged me saying, "Where is the deep godly?" I think it was you, Rocky. It's in book 3, bro. If you open up book 3 of Scott Carney's Harmonic Trader book 3, and you just Control F and you type in deep, you'll come up. It's in book 3 of Scott Carney's books, the deep godly.
Yeah, I was looking at the book, bro. I couldn't find it, but I'll do that again. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
I just wanted the ratios.
Yeah, if I can find a screenshot of it, I'll have it somewhere. I'll send it to you.
Okay. But it get extended out to the 886, right?
886, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, got you. Okay.
So this is deep godly 0.886. Go. So if we're gonna cool off, this would make complete sense, right? Because the B point of the harmonic also, of course, is right over here. However, if you guys remember the BAMM, now technically that's for the bat action magnetic move. But let's not forget what we have over here is also a weekly buy seller zone. We have the B point of the harmonic here too, which we know is the top here, so we're just going to ignore that for now. But should we go and flip that B point into support ever before we go higher? What else is a 618? For an extension, that will of course be your crab. So again, we cannot be surprised if this runs up in the future off that B point success. If we get a B point retest, that is, right? You can decide to go up here without flipping the B point should it choose to do so. Once things get bullish, you're not guaranteed any pullbacks, right? And that's one thing that the first cyclers aren't understanding. They think every move up needs to give you a pullback. Go back and look at some of these coins after they got into the banana phase of last bull market. Bro, it took years for any imbalances to get filled because everything's just going up and up and up and up and up, right? And once we enter those scenarios, it's going to be very hard for scalpers and traders to actually get any decent entries, which is why I've been so vocal about high time frame swings and spot backs from the lows. Because good luck chasing trades when you're not getting any substantial pullbacks to begin with, right? But this right here, that is your grab 1.618. There we go. Duke centered, I can tell. Why is that? How you been, bro? Hope you've been good.
Hey, good, bro. I've been great. Thank you.
Nice. No problem. I'm glad to hear it, man. Okay, so 1.618 right over there, right? This becomes a target. Again, people think, it's just a W shape. He's drawing fancy patterns on his screen. Until we just sit back and watch, like we have been for many years, until these targets go and get hit, and all of a sudden everyone's Pikachu face shocked, wondering why price has gone there. But we know that in terms of wave structures, in terms of harmonics, in terms of fibs, right? This is the next extension target. If you get a 618 retracement, remember, what is the inverse? What is the reciprocal of the 618? It is the 1.618. Okay, these things play out time and time again, so we just need patience. But again, all we need to do, just like Total 2, clear these highs. If you get the B point retracement, even more powerful. If we don't, it's what it is. That still becomes a target. Okay, so there's something else to keep in mind. Apart from that fib retracement, let me do this. There, but that's Total 3. So basically you can see, yes, we're still at resistance, which is why you're not going to ape into anything just below resistance when we've had no confirmation of breakouts. But once we get above, right? And it's not a if, in my opinion, for now, it's a when, right? Until the macro theses actually get discredited, it's a when. When we get above this, we are going to be pushing higher. And this might look like extension targets, but don't forget, once we go parabolic, this could literally be done in like a week. I'm not joking when I say that. Okay, this could be a weekly candle. We could go way, way higher, right? The areas where we go to, it might not even be visible on linear right now, right? We might have to go to log to figure that out, and we'll do that some other stream, so I don't take too much of your time before we go into olds. But I'm not saying by any means we're going to top out 1.46 trillion. We could go way, way higher, right? This is just Total 3. This is olds. But in terms of what we have in our screen, in linear, this is your next target to look for, right? So that's that. But as you can see, same reason why I said last time we streamed, don't ape into any big plays. If you haven't already been building over the last like months and months and months, we've been saying to build. If you're not entered anything, don't ape at resistance. Wait until we get some sort of confirmation above and then enter, because it'll be safer for you. Right? That's the reason I've been saying it. But that's that. Others looks good. Like pretty much everything. Total DeFi looks absolutely amazing. How long were we talking about this one? It looks insane. Right? So pretty much everything looks ready to go. So let's leave the macro analysis in fact, no, before we do, Bitcoin dominance plus USDT plus USDC dominance has also broken its uptrend, technically speaking. So if this prints lower highs now, we will be shifting to a downtrend, right? Again, at very key resistance, this is a bat that we've hit, bearish bat, right? So if we get that shift of structure, inverse smiley face, and even a raid to a bearish divergence, it's going to be very, very bullish for all coins, right? So keep an eye out for that. And the other thing I was looking at it is actually, we've already gone over the stablecoin dominance, so that's fine, right? We'll just leave that as it is. But that's the macro indicators. As you can see, alts at resistance right now, hence why we're stalling out a bit, why we're seeing a bit of red today, right? But don't forget, we've had an insane move up on many alts. A bit of cooling off period is nothing. If anything, if you get a decent buy opportunity, don't bitch out, right? Not financial advice, but just speaking my thoughts out loud, let's say. If you were to listen to me, it's up to you. Right. But let's then move on to actual alts. So the first alt we're going to do is, I believe someone said ENA earlier. So we'll look at ENA. After ENA, I think someone also said... wait, someone said something else, no? Oh, Cetus, bro, yeah. Rocky said Cetus, so we'll look at Cetus as well. So let's start with ENA since that was the first list. And if you guys have any alts you want looking at, just put it in chat. We'll take a look at it. But for ENA, nothing much to say for this. I think it looks fantastic. The weekly candle is a bit like, you know, a bit of a SFP for now, but don't forget there's 5 days left, right? We are above. Some of you have got to this bit, some haven't. We are above macro standard deviation, 0.5 value area high. Okay, and these lines keep changing. It's pissing me off because the trades are getting so tight, so much volume is being spent in these areas. It keeps changing the lines, just makes my life hard. I have to keep changing these around. But everything is compressing because these levels are getting lower and lower and lower. That's good. That means more and more trading volume is taking place within these regions. Now, whether that's because people are longing or people are shorting does not matter. We have to take that as smart money has been buying, right? That's why the lines have been getting lower over time. And why this has been getting higher over time. Here we go. So for now, point of control is fine. Don't have to worry about those lows. So even if you have a pullback, as long as we're not losing 36 cents, we're fine, okay? I don't want us to get back below the macro point of control again. That would be absolutely terrible. I don't want to see that. Once we have such insane strength, I want to see even any pullbacks get absolutely slurped up. Like cash, bro. Slurp that up, and then we're going to absolutely rip to the upside. These are the targets. If you know, you know. Name dropping. Right. One sec. But ENA, if you're looking for an entry on ENA, in fact, let's do this on... Shall we do? We don't need a clean chart for this. We can just do it here. This will mess up the lines a bit, so hang on. Ondo ETF. Big surprise. Yeah. I mean, that was a nice pullback. If I wanted to size up on this now, I would want to pull back somewhere around macro this, right? You know, if you're bullish, like you don't even want this to get lost. Like all of these resistances, go confirm it to be support, go higher. So if you want to bid ENA, here's the key levels. It's not really changing. 0.4345, 0.3680. This is the zone you want flipping to support. If you want to trade with tight risk management, treat them as 2 individual lines. If you want to just not mess around with, like, you know, tight stop losses and you just want to be able to have an area where you can steadily deploy, then treat this as the area. If you get below this, you can see there isn't much point holding because then you're playing into this range again, right? There isn't much point holding below 36 cents if you're entering above it, right? So that is the range. Very simple, bro. That's the range I play with, Graph. I think you're the one who asked for ENA. Wait, just check who asked for ENA. Oh, sorry, Eugene, bro. That's what I do with. That's what I do with ENA. No problem. Very simple. It's the same lines on our screen, right? I mean, the actual levels are the same. It's the same volume profiles we've been using. It's literally the macro. Nothing's changed. The only thing that does change is the actual data it's representing as more and more candles come in, right? Which is why lines change. As more and more volume is accumulated in this range, the lines get tighter. It makes sense because more and more volume is being accumulated here. It's shrinking the overall range where the first standard deviation, the second standard deviation, so on and so forth, the half standard deviation is. But apart from that, the actual levels of significance themselves, right? This, that doesn't change. They're still what they are. So that'd be the zone that you do not want to turn back into resistance. The next one for my bro Rocky is Cetus. Now, Cetus, I think, is very, very straightforward. What we've had on Cetus, and this is something we talked about a lot. I even made a tweet on it. I shared it in crypto chat. We had, well, I mean, if you were to look at the history of Cetus, we had a deep godly to begin with, right here, another one for you, bro. Deep godly, these hit often, they eat very, very often, because people don't realize that deep godly exists, right? So they think, okay, we have a 618 retracement, let's go for the 786. As soon as it goes past the 786, they're like, damn, this godly got violated, but the ratio is too deep for a bat. I don't have anything here, because hardly anyone realizes the deep godly actually exists as an actual harmonic. But this is an offshoot of the godly, the deep godly, described in book 3. Okay, 618 to the 886, right? This is a special case. So the deep godly got hit for Cetus back in 2024, and again, this was an entry I gave, right? We captured this one because the entry I gave back here was, as soon as you get above those blue lines, or rather the blue zone, we're looking for upside, because you've hit the harmonic, you've got your smiley face, more importantly, you can see the smiley face, and you've gone above and flipped your resistance of the zone into support. So that was the entry for my September harmonic setup video I released back in 2024, and then that already yielded 573% returns, right? That move up gave another massive M shape. This time around, what was it? Lo and behold, it was another 886, but this time it was your traditional 886. What's your traditional 886? Your traditional 886 is the bat, right? So you had 0.5 pretty much on the B, you had the 886 pretty much on the C, you had the 886 on the drawdown. This ratio is complete, right? So you have a bat. You have what used to be the 618 of the godly, the B point, and you have the bat 886 in that area. So you have an old harmonic key fib level, and you have the new harmonic level in this area, which is why this was always our PRZ, right? What did we get ever since coming here? We got smiley face, right? We had a smiley face attempt first, that one didn't play out, you moved up, came back down. Then the second attempt, you actually got the smiley face, and that gave us our move up. Now, where did we go to top out after that move up? Well, you take the measured move from A to D, right? You went to terminal 1, which is of course our first target in terms of the harmonic framework. We went to terminal 1, we started to distribute, right? Massive SFPs, price action started telling us aggressive buyers are now not being rewarded. We have offside buyers, that we have trapped longs, we have trapped buyers, right? Seller strength is creeping in. Not only that, but we are also grinding up in price, grinding down in RSI, grinding down in MACD. So bearish divergence is also starting to creep in. All of that is happening as we hit our first target. And this is why I always say charts predate news, because that is when the news dropped that Cetus got hacked. For me, that is way too convenient. You have a bullish setup, you had the initial impulse, you need a reason for price to stall, so you get hacked, right? We got the move down. So what I said, as soon as this came in, again, it's on my Twitter, I shared it here in my in the crypto chat. I just shared the link to the actual Twitter itself, the tweet itself that I made. But what I was saying was, I don't think so. Just give me a pullback to a type 2, right? A higher low or a rate 2 reclaim, whatever. Just give me a type 2. I will size up on my Cetus spot bag. I will add more to my swing long. We have now got the type 2. Remember, in harmonics, the type 1 is good, but if you ever get a successful type 2 return, and the type 2 return holds the PRZ, and you then get that type 2 impulse, that type 2 is typically the one that gives you deeper targets. So while everyone is shitting on Cetus on the way down, thinking it's all over, we know, technically speaking, purely in terms of technicals, in terms of technical analysis, that is it. What's happening here is completely fine in terms of allowed price action, right? We had a successful type 2 return, we're getting that macro accumulation again, and then we've once again broken above our PRZ. So what about Cetus here, right? Cetus, very, very simple. Do I think this is going to die higher time frame? I absolutely do not. No, I think this goes higher, right? 618 is next. At some point, we're going to get that 33-cent target being hit. And if you ever break all-time highs, which I think we will, because I think Swee's going to do insane numbers. I think Aptos is going to do well. Again, Cetus was the number 1 DEX. I don't know if it still is. I've not actually looked into that for a while, so I don't want to say incorrect information with chest. But last I checked, Cetus was the biggest DEX, taking both Sweet and Aptos together. If both those alts do bits in the banana zone, Cetus will go absolutely parabolic, right? So, don't discount 75 cents. It might look like, oh, this guy's on crack right now, because that is like, 536% away. But should that liquidity flow happen and go into Cetus, because both SWI and Aptos are going, then the technicals are there. The stage has been set. We just need the liquidity. That's it. So I think Cetus looks fantastic, bro. In terms of a bid, again, Cetus is something we've been talking about for such a long time. So hopefully, like, you know, you've got starter positions open somewhere down at these levels. If you haven't, then it could be a bit tricky, because I can't recommend buying at a massive order block, right? Or in this case, a supply zone, until you break above it. If you wanted something right now, the only thing I can see is this, and even then, this would not be a confident entry for me. The chances of being stopped out are quite high, just because now, you know, they can bring Cetus all the way back down. Like, literally, they could do this, and it would still be fine, because all you're doing is retesting your previous block. So, if you're thinking about leverage, don't do it. If you're going to enter Cetus, just do spot, right? Just do spot. That's it. And perhaps the best way to bid this would be either if you now go and flip this level, that's what I look for, or if you go and have us pull back to sort of this area. If you can see this demand zone, the modified demand zone that has been created on the way up, right here. If you go into this, because I feel like there's a very high chance we do get that. If you get that, then that'd be the bid. Otherwise, just wait for this zone to get cleared, basically, right? Because there's no point buying at resistance itself. You're not buying any sort of edge if you're doing that. So that is Cetus. Does that make sense, bro? Rocky, do you have any more questions on this? Anything else?
Yeah, no, that's good. I just kept hearing people say Cetus is a bad DEX on Sui. But nah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I mean, Cetus people weren't saying that when we were up over here, right? You know, price literally defines your what's the word I'm thinking of? Sentiment. And no one was calling Cetus a bad DEX when we were up over here. No one was calling Cetus a back
Right.
DEX. Even when we were here and we were distributing, no one was calling it. Everyone calls it a back DEX when it's at the lows. I guarantee you, no one's going to be calling it a bad DEX when we're back at 33 cents. Everyone's going to be writing macro threads on Cetus. It's just market sentiment is what it is, right? There's no point trading what people say. There's no point trading what people think. There's no point trading news. Just trade what's in front of the chart. That's the truth. That's all it is.
Got you.
But yeah, that's Cetus. If you've got any more questions, bro, just let me know. Well, we can go over it. Okay, yeah, let's look at Deep, because I just asked about Deep too. I'm in Deep myself. If you guys remember the streams and also the chart dump, we talked about this in the past. What we were talking about was, we were saying, one of my clients mentioned Deep to me after it already had this move up, right? And I looked at the chart and I was like, God damn, because Deep, if I look at it fresh once to avoid all the squiggles, let's go to Deep, and I can delete these for now. Delete, you know what, fuck it, we'll just do this fresh. Let's do it from scrap. Deep had a absolutely massive, and I don't even know if this is the chart with the most data, right? But it had this absolutely beautiful, pretty much an 886. Doesn't matter if it's not perfect, right? That's pretty much an 886. So that was Deep. Might as well go to that. Yep, 0.5, 0.886. That is, by all purposes, that is a beautiful bat right over here. Right, that's a gorgeous bat. And of course, we have this right over here. Again, let me simplify it for the people that's going to be viewing this later. I haven't talked about liquidity rates and stuff with yet. There you go. Right, so we have T1 hit, T2 hit, that's where the range was created, and now 1.618, the primary projection, is the only thing waiting to get hit. When we talked about Deep, we were talking about it back over here, and what I was saying was, okay, we've had this move, we've clearly missed the initial move. If I'd known about it, I would have called it. I didn't, so it's what it is, right? What we have now is, and again, we did many streams on this, we had a 618, right? Again, if you're a pure harmonic trader, you're probably going to hate me for this, but I'm not a pure harmonic trader, so it does not matter to me. This right here is what we had, right? At this point, we had like a 0. Yeah, when we're looking at it last, all we had was a 404, right? This was nice because we have a 618, and of course a 618 at a minimum can give us a 786, right? But what we also had was, we're not looking for a 786, we're looking for everything to now extend, because our thesis is we're going to go much higher. So now we're looking for the extension targets. So extension wise, what do we have? We have the 1.618. So what you notice immediately is that 1.618 pretty much lines up perfectly with that 1.618 over there. Of course, that makes sense, right? Because this extension now is in relation to the x2a, right? So that makes complete sense. However, it's a completely different wave structure telling us we're going to go to that 1.618. That's the key thing. For this to be valid, however, we need this ratio to fit. At this particular point in time, this ratio was absolutely loony. That's what we were saying. So we were saying we would love it, right? I would love it if deep gave us, at a minimum, a 618, right? We were simply looking for the deep value because even the 0.5, that would still be too high, right? But if you go to a 618 now, which is right over here, that was the minimum ratio which gave you a valid deep point extension to go with this. So what we were saying was minimum 618, then you look to bid deep. That's it, right? So that 618 got hit, right over. You went a bit deeper to the 681, but doesn't matter. I'm going to the actual ratio. The 618 is right over here. There we go, right? So the 618 got hit. Now, based off that 618, look, the ratios could not get any perfect. We have the 618, 618. We have the 3.618, pretty much 1.618. This looks absolutely beautiful, right? So the only thing I'd be saying now is I would not enter deep where it currently is. You're in the middle of nowhere. You can see this, and you can see that for yourself. We're in the middle of nowhere. The only way I would consider as adding any more, if no one's in deep, right? If the 618's one, like, if no one is in deep, but you're looking to get in, the only way I'd consider getting in now is this. Right, very key area here. I'll just do that. Do that. This pullback back towards 16 cents. If you were to get that, you're going to get smiley face. That smiley face is what you enter off of to go higher. Okay, so that is what we said last time we looked at deep, right? Which is, okay, we're above. There is no edge in buying in the middle of a range. Sort of like why I was patient on ETH for so long before we got that flush to the 2000 KFA, and then we went higher, right? There's no edge in this particular area, so we simply wait for this to resolve, give us an edge, and hopefully the resolution comes in the form of a liquidity grab to the downside, to then resolution or continuation to the upside. So that is what I'd look for on deep, bro, right? And if you get that, I will be sizing up myself. I'm already in spot. I'll be looking for swing longs if you get that pullback. Otherwise, I'm already in spot, just gonna be holding that spot because the spot's already up, right? All of the positions are in the challenge account. For those of you that haven't seen it, let me actually go and forward it. Can I forward messages into here? Right. Oh yeah, I can. Oh, that's great. I didn't realize you could do it to chat itself. But yeah, all the updates have been done in the challenge account, right, for the position, so on and so forth. So there was that. And then it was this. Full transparency. There. So that bottom one, though, that's the new one open like a week ago, right? Because I managed to. So the original one was obviously because I had those wallets I cleared out, and then I've got like bits and bobs floating about all different places, all exchanges, so on and so forth. So I just scratched through everything, put everything together, and that's how I ended up with more. I was like, yeah, I could use it to buy myself something, but I would rather just hold off on that gratification and might as well put that money to work first. So I was like, yeah, you know what? Instead of using this money, I'll just open up another account with it, because why not? So you can think of it like two challenge accounts if you want, but the main challenge account is the 21k one. That's the first two, right? Spread account. You can see pretty much a 2x, and we have used zero leverage, right? We have used zero leverage for the apart from the OP long, which is that's been in the red for a while. So everything that's happened there has been because of spot, right? Apart from when we had the initial flush, many things got stopped slightly in profit, which gave us some money anyway, which increased from 21 to like 22,000 something. But apart from that, everything you see right now is from spot, no leverage whatsoever. I'm trying to show you, when you position yourself correctly, leverage is irrelevant. What matters is your position size. And it's not like we're playing with big position size. The account literally started at 21k, right? But yeah, it's pretty much not a full 2x yet, but pretty much a 2x with spot. So the only thing you could consider leverage is the ETH against BTC itself, because just by the nature of the actual pair, right, that would then take leverage to do. But still, this might be my best flip yet, because $14 to a K. I've not started any challenge account that low, but the lowest I did was $48. That was in 2023. I've not done anything this low, so I'm very curious how high I can get this now, especially with the size up being. If you manage to size up properly, that can absolutely that can easily go to 5 digits, probably mid 5 digits if I size up properly, and that would be the craziest returns I've ever done in terms of like actual percentage growth, right? From $14 to 5 digits. If I manage to break that, I'm going to be so gassed. But yeah, deep is in one of the positions. If you click on one of those, it's in one of the positions. Deep, it's one of the spot positions in the challenge account. But yeah, 52 cents, and again, it could go much higher. Who knows, right? But based on what's on our chart right now, that's what I'd be looking for. 62 cents. Very simple. I'm very curious. If we do this, what do we get? We get a 707. So we could also do this. Hang on. For a intermediary stop between where we are to higher prices, we have a 1.414 extension. Remember the reciprocal ratio of the 707 is the 1.414. So there's a target also at 31 cents, something like this. Yeah. If anyone's wondering about what positions are open in the challenge account, by the way, for the main one, that's in the messages I put above the ones I just forwarded. So all the positions, the screenshots of all the positions are up over there. But yeah, there's that. There you go. Right, so yeah, deep looks fantastic, bro. You say you got a 13-cent entry. That's really, really nice. So you're chilling. Are you in this for your fund as well, bro? In deep. I'm guessing it would be, but just checking. Because 13-cent entry for the fund from here. Because I feel like 13-cent is pretty safe entry, as long as you're above the grey box. So. Right, anyway, that's deep. Okay, does anyone else have any other coins they want me to go over? Because I wanted to do the stream as something for you guys, right? Because I know I've been very, very slow with one-on-ones. I did literally one today, right? One. It's way, because normally before this I was chugging out like 4 or 5 one-on-ones a day, right? Because that's all I do. But now that I've got 2 new restaurants and the hedge fund, and some things cooking with the clothing line, so on and so forth. There's just so much on my plate. I'm so slow with the one-on-ones right now, guys. I'm really, really sorry. That's completely on me. But I feel like I've just jumped into a bit too much at once right now. But powering through it. 0.13 on fun. Never force, always flow. I rate that. I rate that. Yeah, that's a beautiful entry, bro. That's a beautiful entry.
Can you take a look on Veracity, please?
That's VRA, right? Let's take a
Yes.
look at VRA. I think this is one of the coins. This is a old, if I'm not mistaken, or I might be. Let me go to master list. It'll be there. There is no way I haven't got. I definitely have T. Yeah, there we go. Okay, this thing is low. Right, we need to completely redo this. So let's get to it. Right, let's get rid of this first, cause that's way too much. Now, what do I think of VRA? I mean, let's be honest. If you want to do a spot bid, it doesn't get any less risky than this, so honestly, that doesn't look. If you enter spot here, it's so easy to manage your risk. Okay, let's keep it very, very simple. If you were to enter anything right now, for risk management, if you can stomach it, firstly, I'll just put it below this, right? Oh wait, hang on, I didn't realize how low cap this was. Don't do that, don't do that. I'll do something like this. Damn. But this week hasn't closed yet. That week could still get taken out. Hang on, let's go to the 3-day. Go to the dead. This is going to be the daily candle. Let's take a look. Below this, yeah, 37%, a bit wide, but it's a low cap. I think that's pretty decent stop loss for a low cap, to be honest. And where would you target? You would target, well, let's take a look. What do we have? We got to go to the yearly. Your target would be if we're talking in terms of, hang on, let me just, so this yearly is not closed yet. However, we have a yearly buyer zone right over here. This is the thing I don't like. Let's change the color of it. The mid of that yearly buyer zone, the top of that yearly buyer zone. An idea would be something like this. Now, could it go higher than this? Of course, right? By no means am I saying this thing is going to top out here. The only problem with VRA is I do not know what narrative this would fall under. Do you know what narrative this is under, bro? Because I feel like there is better coins to put your money into. Because the kind of coins you want to be trading, it doesn't matter if you're investing, if you're trading, it's coins that have shown signs of life, you know, throughout, right? You don't want a coin that's been dead for like, you know, so long, and then all of a sudden you get some sort of god candle, because that's clearly scammy. You also do not want a coin, as much as I hate to say it, like this, which has been doing nothing but putting lower highs and lower lows in, even in the face of all the bullishness we've had. Like, think about, just compare this to assets that have done well, right? Compare this to Hype, compare this to Sui, compare this to AVAX, compare this to Say, compare this to anything, Ondo. It's night and day, right? The kind of assets you want to put your money into, you want to park your money into, are those assets that are stronger, just because those are the ones where the liquidity is. The problem with entering a project like this is, even if your TA is on point, even if your risk management is on point, there's something you can't account for, which is liquidity rotation. In a bull market, the thing that makes or breaks how much you gain in terms of portfolio growth is strong and powerful rotations, right? Think about it like this. If you have a month where everything is popping off and things are running 10x's, 20x's, but you're in the one shitter that's only done a 3x, you have already lost out on a huge portion of how much money you could have made, right? So then that limits you. Even if you get a 2x now, let's say from 10k you go to 20k, okay, that's nice, you have 2x your account. But maybe if you put your money into something else, you would have gone from from 10k to 50k or 60k. And now when we're talking about compounding, because that's where money's made into in bull markets, reallocating your liquidity. Let's say you turn that 20k to 10k to 20k, right? Let's say you take half, you take your initial out. You still only have 10k to now work with to try and grow, right? Whereas if you put your money to something else and that 10k turns to even 30k, just 10k more, even if you take half out, now you have 15k, and you can immediately see how that would snowball into way bigger profits, right, down the line. So the main problem with entering projects like this is, even if, like I said, even if you do your TA right, even if you do your risk management right? The three pillars: significant levels, price action analysis, risk managed entry. Even if you get all those three right, one thing we cannot account for using TA is when that rotation is going to happen and whether or not a project's going to attract liquidity to begin with. If VRA does not fit a narrative and no one's interested in this, or let's say it does fit a narrative but there's better projects for that said narrative anyway, money's going to go to that newer, shinier, better project, right? Another problem with coins like this is, think about how many people are left holding the bag. The sell pressure or any pumps are going to be so great, right? There's going to be so much sell pressure because anyone who bought here, anyone who bought here, anyone who bought here, right? Anyone who's still buying and holding, all of that is going to be sell pressure. So any pumps you get, there aren't going to be people jumping in with you thinking, oh yeah, we're going to go to like, we're going to get this crazy 100x pump, so on and so forth. It's not going to be like that, because any pump you get, all these people that have been in the red for 3 years that finally get back to break even are going to sell the first opportunity they get, because that's just human psychology. You're not going to hold after 3 years and be like, oh yeah, this could now go to a 10x, or I could double my money if I keep holding. If you've been in the red for 3 years and you finally come back to break even, or you gain 80% of value back, you're going to sell, right? So another problem with this, which people don't consider, is the amount of sell pressure there's going to be on any pumps. Why do you think such huge sell wicks are coming in? Anytime you go up, anyone that's been in the red, keep selling. That's it, right? So I think, even though it's at very low areas, and if you wanted to put a bit of spot money in and forget about it, that's fine. I would not waste your time and your capital on a project this dead. Just some advice, bro. Like, if you really love it as a project, of course, it's your portfolio, it's your choice. Just some friendly advice. I think there's better projects you can put your money into than VRA.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
No problem at all, brother. No problem. But yeah, this does look dead. This looks dead. But in terms of if you did actually want an entry, I think something like this is what you'd be looking for, pretty much, right? Something like this. And if you wanted to DCA, I'd basically do the DCA at this range right over here. That zone. But yeah, no, this does not look good. It doesn't look. No. Let's look at log. I mean, even in log, 764, 786 has been hit. Like, it's kind of crazy that something's gone to the 764, 786 on the log chart. That's not something you see often. This chart would look much better. It would already have moved a bit, which is why I'm saying if you're going to allocate something here, don't make it too big. But if you ever go and do this on VRA, then you're talking, okay? Then you are indeed talking. But to do that, of course, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, right? Like, that's long term. Probably not going to happen this cycle, kind of long term. So for VRA to look good, there's some serious work that needs to be done to actually, reflip things into support. Go on a macro buy program again instead of a sell program. So yeah, but that's VRA. Right, let's get out of log. Okay, there's that. $300 buy-in in April. That's beautiful, bro. That's amazing returns. Nice one, Duke. Savage. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, we can see where the consolidation period was, when the alts were going sideways and everyone was eating their bags, and then boom, straight up. Yeah, amazing, bro. Well done, man. Great job. Okay, any other alts you guys want me to look at? I can look at a few more, and then I'll end it here today. Yeah, bro. You gotta have that for swing trading. FLR, Tau, Flow Key. Okay, let's start with FLR. Okay, I'm sure I don't have FLR, so let's go and take a look at it. Oh wait, no. Name sounds familiar. One sec. Okay, no, I don't. I thought I did. Okay, it doesn't have an index chart. Really? Okay, KuCoin, Bybit, Mexi, Gate, CoinX, Femex, and that's it. Okay, so 2021. Delete that. Delete that. Delete that. See, it looks nice on all these new charts, right? But we know there's older data. Yo. Here's. I want to look at pump as well, actually. That reminds me, we'll look at pump. Okay, this is interesting to me, right? If you're gonna take a shit, if you're gonna take a gamble on a shit coin, let it be a shit coin like this at least, which looks absolutely bottomed out. However, I will not fade structures like this. Do you know what? Do you know what? As shit as this looks on the higher time frame, what do you realistically have to lose? I'll put in money you're willing to lose on this, but fully. If you did a buy-in over here with a DCA for should we visit this, and you just make your invalidation should you go and turn this back into resistance, I genuinely think you have a bid on your hands here on FLR. I don't know how you find these tokens, bro, honestly. You always come out with the most like out there tokens. I've never heard of this before, but that looks very interesting in terms of structure. Do we have any? No, it's better to look at this on log. There's no point looking at this on linear. Honestly, like, no joke, that is reclaimed that key level. How much of a downside are we talking to invalidation? Basically, you're risking, let's say 33%, right? 33%, but even if you take that out, you're making, it's worth it in terms of risk to reward, to be honest. Okay, you could yeet a spot bag on this. Spot bag you don't particularly care about. You're not going to go, there's no point sizing big on these, right? You know, we can crush those streams straight away. But on whatever you're willing to lose, you buy in. Your invalidation on that money is if you go and turn this into resistance. If that happens, just get rid of it until you go and reclaim this demand line, because as we can see, there is absolutely no point holding below that, right? And you know, if this turns to resistance, you can just go and buy at the next lower level, because you know, from there to there is literally under the 32% drop in price, so you might as well cut early and then just get in on the reclaim. So invalidation would be of loss of this level into resistance, but you're looking for basically a liquidity grab. So I just basically aim for that 414 as the target. So you're looking for something like, oh, the problem with log charts like this. I'll place the stop loss there, but the stop loss is going to be manual in this case. Okay, you want to see that turn to resistance, and you're going for this. Honestly, I could see it playing out. I can't lie, just because like who's left to sell down at these levels, right? Or just you could literally buy before a bot sees this and buys it themselves. You're sub Adam, bro. Just more data. This is data since 2021. Everything else has only got this portion here, which is a clever move from them, because obviously when people see this and they don't see this and all they see is this, they're like, holy shit, this thing looks like it's breaking out of a pennant, when in reality it's consolidating at all-time lows. So, but no, I could genuinely see something like this happening. Just put in like, you know, the money you're willing to lose, very easy, like basically 2.5x. And invalidations, just set on alert. If you ever get an alert price breaking below this, just cut it. Easy. No point holding. But yeah, okay. That is FLR. The other one was Tau. I believe we looked at Tau many times. Although Tau is something. There we go. And does it get any nicer than this? So the original entry on Tau was, of course, the smiley face. Talked about this one a lot, right? What did we have? Let's do this bit by bit. We had the 886 right over here for the deep godly. That was more local though. So, damn, right? leave that on, take that off, take that off. Perfect. Okay, here we go. Let's go bit by bit. First things first, X, A, B, C, D. This is not a bad, this is a deep godly, right there. Next, we have X, A, B, C, that's a shark. D, 1.618, that's a shark. So we have the shark 1.618 down over there. Then what do we also have? Then that's more local. So in terms of macro harmonics, right? We've already got the big two M shapes that have hit and gave us the PRZ. Of course, we also have prerequisites to any harmonics, which is the ABCDs. So if you look at the ABCD, right over here, ABC 0.5, the D was a 2.0. Right? So here was your PRZ. Absolutely beautiful. You had the 2.0 of a ABCD. You had the 886 of a deep godly, which is where you got your smiley face, and the actual shark 1.618 was where you went and raided with. That's one of the most beautiful smiley faces we had. And that's given us the move up. We've hit T1 already. We haven't hit T2 yet. We're on our way to hit T2 because Tau looks absolutely fantastic. Again, I don't think I need to keep saying it, but if I do this and I do this, we can see you've had the breakout retest of the trend line. Even now, if anyone wants a late entry on Tau, it'd be something like this, pretty much a bit wide, but you're looking to play basically a move to all-time highs, in my opinion. All right, above the 618, this gets a move towards all-time highs, and if you get above that, then $1,000 Tau, very possible in my opinion. But more so, these highs is what I aim for right here on Tau. But yeah, that's on Tau. If you want a new fresh entry, it'd be something like this. But here's the problem again. Like I said, anytime you enter after things go up, the problem is even if Tau did something like this and have another mega pullback, right, in case of some sort of quick flush that we got, you're still going to be putting in smiley face, right? So no entry is 100% safe at these levels, but that's something you could try to play for. I think Tau is obviously one of the best AI projects there is. So actually, wait, no, why am I deleting that? Leave that on, because that's a glorious smiley face. Yeah, but yeah, I think Tau looks great, bro. I'm guessing you're already in from the lows on this one, because I remember you talking about this a lot, bro. But yeah, these were the entries we talked about way back, right? This was April time. So if anyone listened, then yeah, that was a beautiful entry for Tau. That was a really, really nice entry on Tau. 305, yeah, beautiful. You're chilling then, bro. You're absolutely chilling. Because I think that's a safe entry. I don't think that gets visited. Fingers crossed, of course, but I don't think that gets visited because that's the higher low after the breakout. So I think that's safe for the cycle. Let's hope I'm not proven wrong. But you could hang on. You could look at this as I know it's a meme, but some sort of like Adam and Eve kind of thing here, right? So if you break out from there, point a breakout, that takes you back towards all-time highs pretty much. So there's that going for you. So if you wanted to wait for a safer entry, it'd be that, wait for a flip of the entire structure, because you'd be buying very close to resistance right now at the end of the day if you look at it on the macro scale. In fact, let's look at the quarterly. I bet we're going to find something on the quarterly here, or the 6 months, or the yearly. Beautiful. You are attempting a break back above your 2021 12-month seller zone low. As long as that is support, we know, mid is fair game, right? So that's another reason for why, as long as you get that daily close above You get the 3-day close above even, especially if you start getting the weekly close above. We've got monthly close in 9 days. If all of those happen above 440, we're going to be set for higher prices. And if you lose that, then I think August gives you the higher low before we go higher. But yeah, the Tau looks great, bro. Higher time frame, Tau looks beautiful. Okay, so that was Tau. And Floki, Grove said Floki. So I believe we looked at this last stream as well. I think I put it on Focus V2 to be honest. Okay. Bro, don't. What are you talking about, man? So I've completely forgotten what I said about this last stream. I think what I said was only where you're going to enter Floki's if you get that pullback. We haven't got that pullback. Like, it's what it is. You don't have any entries right now. Because, yeah, that's what I was saying. You don't enter this blindly here because you have absolutely zero edge, right? At this rate, it looks like we're going to get that 1.618 to 2024 12-month seller zone area. If weakness comes in, you might be able to take like a scalp short, scalp the swing mindset short to some sort of higher low perhaps. But if no weakness comes in, then this is just going to keep going up. I'm not in any Floki, right? Full disclosure, I've missed this move up on this meme coin in particular. So, you know, if you get the higher low, then yeah, I'd look to open a leverage position, not spot leverage on this one, because I don't want to allocate a lot of spot to just a million different coins. Like I said, my spot bit's always focused. But nothing I do is going to be here. This is vertical accumulation, right? I very much would be surprised if we got some sort of breakdown from this. Unless we set a bearish engulfing candle, this is going to keep climbing up in my opinion. We're going to get that 1.618 sooner rather than later. Nothing to be done here, bro, on Floki. Are you looking for a position on this, Grove? Yeah, you know, go look at any structure like this. This is designed to increase price. You're literally getting higher highs and higher lows while chopping up leverage, right? That's all this is. Impatient people get absolutely violated in this range. Waiting for a pullback. Yeah, that's clear. Here's the thing, bro. If you look, wait for a pullback if you're not in. If you don't get the pullback, it's what it is. There's other projects out there that you'll be able to enter on, right? This right now, this looks very, very strong. You have no edge buying during vertical accumulation because that's the whole point of vertical accumulation, is to provide uncertainty, reward sport holders in a way, but now they can just relax and watch as their assets go up, right? People who bought the lows, while making it extremely difficult for leverage and late people entering late in the market to get any sort of sense of what they're going to do, because you know it's just chopping in a tight range. That's what vertical accumulation is. Prices making high highs and high lows while chopping up leverage. But yeah, if we do get that pullback anywhere, like anywhere in this region, honestly, I don't really care where we go. I'm just going to wait until the downtrend is done. Whatever local downtrend we get is done. Then I'll bid Floki for sure. Because I really like their strength, right? The move up. And my thesis has been, if you can come back down over here, we're going to get a beautiful smiley on the macro. So, here, added it. Okay, Trump. Now this one will be on Focus. So your question is, can you validate the W bottoming pattern on Trump? Let's take a look. The W bottoming pattern on Trump. No, I wouldn't call that a smiley face yet. Not yet. Let me see. How would we get a smiley here? Well, one sec. I think yours. Oh wait, we're looking at different exchanges. That's why. On Mexi we go a bit lower on the left anyway. So I wouldn't, since that's a listing wick, I wouldn't count that as proper structure, bro. Just because since different exchanges are gonna have different listing wicks, you know, that's just gonna mess up your TA depending on what chart you look at, right? So I wouldn't count this one on the left for any sort of smiley face. I don't currently see any smiley faces occurring on Trump. Let's see. Does a higher time frame help? No, not really. There seemed to be some sort of local one going on here, perhaps, but even that wasn't clean. So this is the only area where I see some sort of smiley face taking place, even though the right was a bit deep, somewhere around there. But I don't see any smiley faces on the macro yet for Trump. Not on the daily, not on the weekly. I don't see any smiley faces. If there is a cumulative structure, it's not because there's a smiley face. If we do something like this, for example, right? Let's say we were to go towards here and then have some sort of pullback back towards this region, we'd have a really nice smiley face then, but I just don't see one yet. There isn't one right now, right? Okay. But that is Trump. You know, crime season in full effect. I think Trump could reprice quite higher, to be honest, but we'll have to see. Powell, really nice moves up. Don't forget what I said. We went over this last stream too. Let's get off log here. Is this the log chart? It is the log chart. So actually stay on log there. Let's go to this. And then let's go to Powell. There we go. Remember, as long as you're above this, Powell has a very good shot at higher prices. Okay. Don't forget this chart. Very easy to manage your risk. It's going to be around this key level here. So as long as you're above this, you are going higher. You don't have to be a hero with leverage on coins like these. Okay, just if you can, just use spot, because you do not want to be chopped out at these lows. Trust me. What's more painful than getting stopped out is being sidelined. There is nothing more painful than this. The worst feeling in the world, in my opinion, is taking profits too early. That's the worst, right? Taking a profit too early is the worst, because you had the trade right, you had the idea right, you just push it out and took profits too early, right? That's the worst feeling. The second one is being sidelined because you got chopped up at the lows, but you realize, like, if you just held, you'd have gone higher. It's after that, getting stopped out, it's just full stop, is a bad feeling. But it doesn't come anywhere close to actually being stopped out and then watching the macro move play out, which again is nowhere near as painful as just taking profits too early. For me, taking profits too early is the worst pain. But Powell, as long as you're above this, you will go higher. If you do go and turn this to resistance, I wouldn't be surprised by like a 0.029, basically 0.03 cent Powell. I wouldn't be surprised. Looks very similar to GMX in that regard. Right, but look, should we get a breakout from this? Let's just do some measured moves. Breakout from this, from the point of breakout, would take us, let's say the point of breakout happens somewhere around here, right? Still going to be like a 509% pump. So Powell could be, it could be like a low cap banger, or it could be a low cap banger, and I position myself accordingly on this. So Powell is nice. I absolutely murked this on the first move up. This one, I was calling this here. Also this move up here when it went to T2, right? We talked about, I gave this over here as well in my harmonic setup video in September. So just looking to re-up for a hat trick here, really. But yeah, Powell, higher time frame falling wedge. If it breaks out from here, this could do absolute bits. So I'm keep your eye on this one, or if you want to get in, just use spot. I'm using a low leverage swing myself, but that's just because my liquidation can afford to do it, right? So I might as well. Millennia had a 76 bounce. That makes sense, bro. It could happen, to be honest. Could. But yeah, that's that. So let's go over a few of the stocks we've been looking at. Right. Oh, actually, wait. Before we do that, a few more things to go over is things like AI16Z. Still going sideways. Not much move on this yet. KTA. I think I was talking. Yeah, Rise the one that mentions this. Okay. Before that, Pump. Let's take a look at Pump. I had these ABCDs marked out on Pump. We've hit 3.14. If we lose the 3.14, we will be going to the 3.618. We seems to have hit the 3.14 today, literally. 3.618. At this point, just send it to the 3.618. All the first cyclists that were posting, mad pianos or Pump like they called the low on this, already back by break even. It's so funny, man, trading. Especially the first cycle people who think they're the shit. It's so funny watching them just flip flop every 2 minutes. Okay, AB equals CD 3.618, right? There we go. Okay, so next would just be 3337. I don't see, there's nothing else on this, bro. This is on a downtrend. Look, if you wanted to take a degen play here, degen in the sense that you're not longing structure or anything like this, you're just longing a tight RR, this is how you would do it, right? You'd be praying for AMD, you'd be looking for the next, for you to go into the next supply area and then dying. That's a trade you would take. But if you lose that 3.14, you're probably going to drop down towards that next key level anyway, right? So if you wanted to attempt a long on pump, you'd be doing this, but just understand you are not longing structure or anything like this, right? If you take this long, you're simply long in the fact that 3.14 is holding for now. But I do think that 3.68 gets hit and perhaps lower as well. So let's see, do we have anything indicating lower targets is the real question. Let's go from here to here to here. I mean, that's just going to be another 382. That's the problem. 382 to the 2 point. It's just another. Yeah, it's just another ABCD. Just same 382 ABCD played out all over again. So then that's what you'd be looking for. From there. For now, that's all I'm going to put down, 2.24. But of course, after that, you have the 2.618, so on and so forth. Right? Let's make this yellow, just to make it stand out. But yeah, structure's not on our side. Might as well wait for something more substantial than, oh, the 3.14 looks like it's holding, right? But yeah, I'll keep an eye on this for sure, because I do think they'll pump this. I don't think there's any ways the juice is just going to let this die out. I don't see that happening. I do think they will take this higher. So, but is it a project I can get behind? No, definitely not. Mass extraction. But yeah, that's that. Let's take a look. What have you put down? Popcat. Using some fib circles. Nice. Okay, let's take a look at Popcat. Popcat's one of the ones that was looking good, to be honest. Hang on. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Popcat has insane strength. Very, very nice strength. Again, beautiful PRZ. The high low came back in. He reconfirmed the 886 of the bat, right, for the higher low, right over here. That would have been a beautiful entry. I missed that entry. Is what it is. That would have been a beautiful higher low. I mean, that is a beautiful higher low. Sorry. Popcat's on his way up. Right, it's on his way up. So last time we talked about if you're going to get into this, your invalidation is if you lose this, right, which you haven't done. So the invalidation trigger's never been hit. But I'm not in any Popcat myself right now. But no, this does look good. It looks ready. Like, that's a clean bump up. Hang on, if that is, no, that looks deeper than a 618. That looks deeper than a 786, to be honest. 769. Butterfly. Why? No, it wouldn't make sense to do this though, because you're losing structure for no reason. We'll focus on that should it ever come to pass. Otherwise, for now, $1.414. Beautiful. Yeah, you've got a PR. This is going to go to T1, right? It's going to go to T1 because you have your 1.414 there for the ABCD. You have your actual T1 zone there, so this zone right here. Probably looking at that first for Popcat. And then we can reevaluate based on the structure we get up over there. Like, even if you if you're not in from here, it doesn't really matter, because should you go and flip this into support, that'd be a beautiful entry, right, to go to those high prices. So yeah, that's not really any problem. No problem, brother. But yeah, there's many things that look good. I think one we were talking about, I think Saul was talking about this, was house. Now, first thing I'll say is, when you have a coin like house, and it's at the lows here, please don't, okay, I can't tell you what to do, but like I've been saying for months now, there's moments where you prioritize scalping, and then there's moments where you prioritize swings. Okay. When you have coins that are areas like this, you're going to prioritize swings over scalps. Right, this is the same thing I've been saying for absolute months now. I've been very vocal about this. I've said, especially for the last quarter, I have hardly touched scalping, and I don't plan to touch scalping again until I've got the time to properly do it, basically. Right, I'm just going to be chilling in the low leverage swing longs and the spot backs. It's going to vastly outperform. Like, I could optimize with scalping, sure, right, I can, but if I didn't have all the things that I've got going on right now, I would be doing it, but I've got a lot of things going on. I can't give the time that I want to scalping to do it properly, so I'm not going to be prioritizing it. But even if I were to prioritize scalping, it would not be at these areas. Once you've missed those low entries and you're already in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, then yes, pull out the scalp, and then you take advantage of that volatility that's going to come at those ranges. You do not try to outsmart the composite man by taking some high leverage, like very tight stop loss trades up in these areas. It's not going to work. Right? They can chop price. Wealthy people can chop the price all they want when they've got, like, you know, millions and billions of position sizes that they're trading with. I'm not saying anyone's putting that into house coin, but it's just an example, right? There's so when you have coins like this, right, coins like house coin, you're going to be looking for the macro. Now, what did we say last time? All right, last time we looked at house, I said you're going to size up on house should you go and get above that deep Gartley 886, because it was very evident that we were doing many SFPs back to back to back over here, right? So I'm doing this bit specifically for if Sol listens to this later, because I think Sol said he longed this. But if you were to look at this, there is nothing here indicating that you should be taking a long, right? Buying spot is different because you don't have to worry about liquidation. You're buying it because you understand you're at value. That is inherently different to borrowing money, right? Which is what leverage is doing, and then taking that for a trade. Those are two completely different things, right? So if you look at price action here, especially again, you saw, bro, if you look at the recording here, we had multiple days of, in fact, last time we streamed, we mentioned this as well, right? There was back to back to back to back to back days of SFPs at the deep Gartley 886, right? Many SFPs. A very clear sign. Remember, what's step number 1? Learn to find significant levels. We have 3 back to back over here. Number 2, learn to analyze price action at those significant levels. Does this scream, yes, buys are winning? It doesn't, right? Because there's multiple attempts to close candle bodies above the deep Gartley 886, multiple attempts at a reclaim, but we did not get it. So buying spot here is different because you're buying because you do not care where it goes from here. Realistically, until the macro structure is lost, you're just holding, right? Because you understand you're buying a value. But when you leverage, when you enter a leverage trade, you're entering at weakness. And now that is a problem because, of course, any red in leverage, every tick down is going to be one tick closer to your liquidation or your stop loss, right? So there wasn't any signs here indicating a long, right? I think last time we talked about this, I'm sure I also said, like, you know, if you're going to do this, just buy spot, right? That's what I said. I'll be doing. I'll be buying spot. So if you're going to leverage trade something, you want to make sure, like, you know, structure's on your side, trends on your side. It's more than just hitting key levels, right? Is structure on your side of those key levels? Is the correct direction of the market winning? Obviously, in this case, you want buyers to come out on top. They were not coming out on top at this particular area. There's loads of supply here. We can see that. So this isn't something you would have longed, right? Because I just, you know, just as I was doing the stream, I read through and I saw that Sol said he'd been stopped out on the long, but looking at the chart, this isn't a scenario I would have longed at to begin with, because there's nothing here indicating buyer strength. Absolutely nothing, right? Locally speaking, we have nothing. We have trap traders, trap traders who couldn't get above the 886. That gave us a move down. So now we're below the 1.618 as well. You have genuinely no key levels in terms of harmonics. That's keeping you up here, right? So if the red line is lost, right, that is lost. Let's say we have our demand triangle here. If the demand triangle is lost, any positions you have in house, you'd probably get rid of it until it's reclaimed. Because otherwise, you could go and target exchange listing lows. There's nothing stopping that from happening below this red lines, right? So now, if you were to take a trade here, perhaps you do something like this. Very simple, right? If you wanted to swing, you could do something like this. But especially like lower time frame scalping, lower time frame trades, this just isn't the coin where you would even do that. Like, there's no point going the lower time frame on a coin like this. That's not been picked up. That's not picked up volatility. Structure's not on your side. Buy strength is not on your side. Price action is not on your side. So what I'm trying to say, I suppose, is I don't see a scenario where I would have longed at this particular region. Right, buying spot and holding, again, different, because the longer structure's held, buying spot and holding makes sense. You buy spot and hold to avoid the chop that comes before things really go parabolic, when it's just PVP mode straight up. But for leverage, I just don't see any longs I would have taken in this particular region. Right, you want to see a clean structure shift, right? So something that is good now, however, is, technically speaking, the last lower high that led to the low low has been taken out. Now we just wait for a higher low to come in. I believe this is something we talked about last time as well. We just wait for a higher low to come in. And once the high low is confirmed, if we then get continuation to the upside, house will be in a much better place. And once structure's on your side, you can try and long this all you want, right? With tighten validations if you want. But right now it's just not on our side. Not until the high low is confirmed. If we're going to confirm the high low, this would be a very good place to do it, however. Right over here. There we go. Right. So hopefully that was helpful, not just for Sol, if you look at this later, but also for you guys here. Right. Hopefully you guys see what I mean. There isn't a scenario here where I would have particularly gone for a long itself. Right. Especially on the lower time frame. There just isn't. This isn't the place to be doing that. If you guys are going to be trading, especially on the lower time frame, stick to firstly high volume exchanges, and secondly also stick to high volume coins. Right? There's no point going lower time frame for coins, shit coins like Housecoin. There isn't. If you're going to trade the lower time frame, just go on BTC, go on ETH, so on and so forth. Actual projects with liquidity. House isn't a project with liquidity. We know that. There's no point trading the lower time frame on this. But yeah, so that was something I wanted to end up on. Just as a little bit of a education bit, I suppose. FOG was something we went over. I gave this in the chart dump section as well. I think FOG looks really, really good. So again, the thesis for this, that's already in the crypto chat or the chart dump area, one or the other. And the other one I like the look of, Drift. We've been talking about this. If we look at this here, that was an old idea that was invalidated. Once we go and reclaim that demand line, right, that white line, we just want to see this on Drift. Just understand, when this happens, Drift is cleared for takeoff. Because remember, 886, 2, by the looks of things, is this, oh, that would have been amazing, but it's not. There's no RSI weekly bullish divergence. I mean, there is 3-day. We've got 3-day bullish divergence, MACD bullish divergence too. So if we go and flip this on Drift, that might be like a trade that's worth taking in terms of a long, right, to higher prices. So something to keep in mind. This was one of the charts I shared in the chart dump that day, where I put like 15 out a little while back. But okay, so thanks Sean, bro. Thank you. In terms of the actual stream itself, that's going to be it from me, guys. If you have any other coins you want me to look at, of course, just put in the relevant section. So the lease for my second restaurant, that's pretty much signed. I think I can start getting my stuff in by the midway through August. I'm hopeful. There's a lot of renovations to be done, so that's going to take a few of my time. So I think I'm going to do as much of it myself as I can before I'm gone for Q4 to Asia. But I'm going to be making all the tables myself. I'm going to build all the chairs myself, because it's a very old, like, Tudor style building. If John, you probably have an image when I say like a Tudor style building, right? You've got those, nice wooden beams, nice wooden floors. For those of you not familiar with it, just it's very cozy, right? And the previous owners, they had a Cantonese restaurant. They just put red carpet everywhere because obviously in Chinese, red is considered good luck. But I hate the look of it, so I'm gonna have to rip all the carpets off. I'm gonna have to we've already got the windows being redone, the doors have been redone. The outside, everything needs to be done. Plastering. I'm going to build all the tables myself. I'm going to ask a couple of my friends for help because they're very good with metalwork, woodwork, so on and so forth. I'm going to do all the chairs myself as well. It's going to be much cheaper. I'm just going to buy all the wood and just, get to it. And then, but yeah, so that's the second restaurant, like the lease that's sorted anyway, right? So a couple months to get it up and running. The previous owner also pretty much sold off pretty much all the appliances, so I'm going to have to go in and buy a load of new ones. But that's all within the operating cost of the business anyway, so that it doesn't really bother me. So that's done. I also, in midway through August, between 10th and the 14th to be exact, I'm in London for four nights. I have a lot of meetings with potential clients for my hedge fund, right? So my friend has been reaching out to a lot of people. They've been wanting meetings, just in-person talks. I'm like, yeah, I can get it done. So I'm going to be in London for 4 days, or rather 5 days, 4 nights. I'm meant to be there for a week, but I can't make the first 2 days because I have another commitment. So my friends are going to be there, but I'll be there for the majority of it anyway. I booked a shard for a place because I thought, I might as well treat the clients, start it off proper. So I've all the clients that are coming, I've just booked me and them 4 nights in the shard. Set me back about around 15k, 15-20 by the time everything's going to be settled. But I think it's just justified cost because you make them feel special, right? So yeah, exactly, that's it. Smart thinkings. You go eat at that Michelin restaurant upstairs, the Chinese one, I forget its name, but that one's really, really nice. Have some dinners there. But yeah, just got the shot for the 4 nights. Have some meetings and see some friends, so on and so forth. Then my friend will be going back to Hong Kong so we can get everything started, the process. I've got a lot of lawyer friends that are really good, especially with Hong Kong law, because obviously Hong Kong used to be Commonwealth, right? I don't know if it still is, but there's a bit of grey area there. I don't know if it still is. I'm not fully sure about that. But obviously I used to be very close to the UK, so the law system is the same from the UK and Hong Kong, basically. Very minute differences, but if you know law in the UK, you know law in Hong Kong. So I've got a lot of friends that know law, that have studied law in the UK, that I'm going to talk to as well, because I want to make sure there's no leaf unturned when I do open the fund. But I think we've already raised a good couple 7 figures, right? And I haven't met all the investors, all the people that are interested yet. So to begin with, I'm just going to keep it private, or I'm not going to open it to the public whatsoever. Just my own money, whatever a few of my friends and families want to do, and then these very private clients, the type that don't typically dox themselves. Just going to start with that. 3 to 5 years, just do it as best as I can, grow it up, and then from there I'll open it to the public as well. But yeah, that's the plan for now. So just a lot on my plate, guys. In case you're wondering, this guy's just slacking off watching One Piece or something. That's not the case, okay? I wish it was the case, but I genuinely, I'm sleep deprived. I am absolutely tired, but there's just so much shit that needs to be done. I just need to keep it pushing. It's going to be anything, bro. It's Hong Kong based, so it's going to be pretty much anything. Indices, stocks, crypto, anything. I can if you guys are wanting in, I can see if my friends, because it's not just me. So we're gonna call the group Trifecta with a K, not a C, because we're hippies. But the original plan was, so originally it was my 2 friends, right? It was their idea originally, but it was a long-term vision for them, right? Because they wanted to get into the property side of things, but obviously they didn't have a way to grow any sort of money because neither of them are traders. So they were thinking, okay, well, we're gonna work because they're gonna be rich with what they do anyway. We're gonna work, we're gonna start putting money together, and then we're gonna get into properties in 10-15 years time. But then I came along, they started talking to me. I was like, well, I do this, I'm a trader. I already work for a hedge fund anyway. I've got experience with it, with huge amount of money's on the line. So what's up? And they were like, okay, well, here's this, and we just started talking, and just sort of it's one of those things that went from the drawing board to real life, right? So now that I'm trading the fund and I've showed them like, my own portfolio, my challenge accounts, everything. So typically I don't share my portfolio with real life, but obviously if it's real life clients involved with like, hedge fund level of money that I'm starting to open myself and I'm trying to draw in, then I'm going to show them. But I do not otherwise share my private portfolio public. I do not like there's one thing I don't encourage anyone to do that, right? Whatever money you make public, make that a preset amount you're happy showing, right? Don't ever make all your assets public, bro, because I seriously believe in the evil eye. Exactly, that's it, bro. You just read my mind. I fully believe in the evil eye. My mom says it all the time. When I tell her some good news, she's like, oh, son, don't get too happy. Like, if you get too happy, something bad might happen. So yeah, that's it. Nazar, bro. Pura nazar. But yeah, keep it to yourself, right? Keep it humble. But yeah, I've showed everything, so that's where all the interest has come from. And yeah, I'm just excited for this, man, because we're going to be Trifecta. That's going to be the umbrella company. So I'm going to be in charge of the fund, right? I'm going to get that fund up as much as I can, and then the deal from there is to then just branch into properties. That's what we want to do. Because in Hong Kong, I don't know if you guys know, but like hardly anyone owns any houses, bro. Like it's very, very rare you see people owning houses. Typically, it's apartment blocks. It's sort of like Japan in that sense. So if we go and buy an apartment block, bro, that is easy rent money coming in, easy. And then after that, I'm planning to go out to Nepal, because Nepal does not have a property mogul. If it can get in, because I already have connections in Nepal, obviously, that'll be easy. And also Thailand, right? If I can get some good properties in Gabi, get some good properties in Samui, right? Fuck Phuket, bro. Phuket's oversaturated. I'm not touching Phuket. That was my advice. But Samui, Gabi, there's so much nice areas in Thailand that's still so underdeveloped. We're just going to be like, looking to get land we think can be agreeable, can be developable, and then just either flip or hold, literally. But yeah, land. So one of my friends, he's very good at actuarial, so he's going to be on the land side of things. Call it Trifecta Holdings or whatever, right? And then I'm going to be the Trifecta Fund. I'm going to be leading that, and then we plan on hiring staff in about once we basically open up to the public a couple of years time. Even before we open to the public, if I feel like we're getting to a stage where I might benefit from a couple more eyes, that's where I'll be hiring external staff. But otherwise I'm just going to be doing the whole thing myself, pretty much soloing it. So but yeah, that's the goal for now, man. So my friend's going to fly back 14th of August to Hong Kong. That's when everything's going to get started. I think I have to get a couple of licenses, take a couple of exams in Hong Kong. So I'll be going to stay in Hong Kong for a bit doing all that. But minor things. I'll get it done if I need to. Yeah, I'll let you know, bro, if I need a cleaner. Yeah. Urdu. Come on, bro. We got to show him English is our fourth language. These peasants don't know, man. But yeah, so typically there's just so much R&D that needs to be done for this, which is what's taking up so much of my time. As I get time, I'm beginning to reach out individually to people, right? So I had one-on-one this morning. I'll try and get 1 or 2 done tomorrow, 1 or 2 done the day after. I'll just reach out to, I've got so many DMs, I'll just reach out to people just one at a time. By the time I go away in September, hopefully I'll have gone through at least 2 or 3 more sessions with everyone. And even when I'm away in Asia, I'll still have my laptop with me. So even though I won't be doing one-on-ones when I'm there, I'll still be doing these group streams and everything. So you guys aren't yeah, sure. Are you going to be doing one-on-ones, bro? You think of start doing your own as well? I was going to say you probably could. Once you have your own tweak and things, I'm sure people would want to learn. But yeah, that's me. So yeah, I'll just reach out to everyone one at a time. I can definitely get a couple more sessions done with everyone before it's time for me to go, before I'm off again. But after this second one's open, after the renovations are done and majority of the R&D is done for the main thing right now is the second restaurant. After that's done, even though I'll still be busy with the hedge fund thing, it won't be as time consuming. So I'll be fairly free again, right, to carry on the one-on-ones at a decent pace with everyone. But right now the thing that's taking up the most time is going to be the renovations, right? The renovations for the second place, because there's no way on earth I'm paying any any random person money for them to do some shit bang up job. I'd rather just go and do it myself. I've got 2 hands, I've got 2 legs, I'm quite handy, so I'm just going to do it myself. Nah, I think it's sick that you got that locked in already though, bro. You do bits, man. You do bits. You're hella young. I do have one group class that I'm starting here as well. It's in the group. I think it's invisible to most of you guys because I think I made it only visible to the people with the CC B1 tag. But I had a deal, like a group deal running at John's hedge fund. So I've got 5 new students from there. That's this. You guys know I don't typically do group classes, but there's that going too. But if you guys, what I can also do is, if I genuinely can't find the time, I can give you guys all access to recordings, right, of the stream. That's not to say you're not going to get live lessons, but for the meantime, you can have the recordings to go through at your own pace. And then after I'm back, right, we can go through the material face to face as well, right? If you guys want, I can do that too. So you still have something to do in the meantime, and after I'm back, like, any confusions you have from what you watched, what you put into practice, right, we can just go over that and make sure everything's understood anyway. I can do that too. But yeah, over the, between now and when I go to Asia, I will try and get as many lives done as possible as too. Yeah, and again, like I said, once I'm back and all the restaurants open after I'm back, like, it'll be towards the end of October, start of November, so on and so forth. I could go back to face on face again, so that you guys have actually already gone through the material, and then we just basically recap face to face and make sure everything's understood. That way, you're not missing out on anything, right? So I can do that too. Because a few people have been asking for that, so I thought if you guys do not want recordings, only want face on face, I completely understand. Just let me know. But otherwise, that's something I can do. So I'll get that done. But yeah, like I said, with each of you, I can get at least, like, I'm sure at least 2 more face on face sessions done by the time I go. So it's no problem. But yeah, so this is for future reference. It's not going to happen right now, but is anyone from the group actually interested in putting money in the hedge fund in the future if I make it public? Because if it is, then I can sort of reduce the minimum entry for you guys and stuff. I'll try anyway. But yeah, so right now we've got minimum entry at 10k, and I think we're going to increase that to 50k after we get the fund up to like a couple million and we start making profits. We can't ask for much. But yeah, the thing is, if it was just up to me, just for this group, I'd definitely reduce the minimum entry. But it's not just up to me, right? It's up to, this is a 3-man thing, so it'd be that, I'll float the idea to them. But if my guys say no, just keep it the same for everyone, then I won't be able to reduce the minimum entry. But I'll try my best. But right now what we've got is, since we've technically got institutional level entries only, that's why I've got these client meetings set up in August when I'm in London. Right now the minimum entry is literally like 100k, right? So that's why all the people from Hong Kong are just putting in 100k clips, which is how we're able to get to, like, 7 figures so easily. Yeah, I have no idea about any of the rules. That's why I'm leaving this to my friends. I'm making sure I'm talking to my lawyer friends as well before I proceed with anything. So I really want to do this properly. Yeah, I completely understand, bro, John. Yeah, I bet it's a big headache. I already told my mates, look, so one of them's called Cameron. Both of them are in the server. They're just not very active. They're really busy. But Cameron, that's my friend's name. He's in charge of actuarial science. He's called Chow in the server. He's the one in charge of the actuarial. His graduation soon, actually, 29th. He got first. He got some really fancy award from the uni too, proper clever clog. But he's in charge of the land. And then I just said, look, I will try my best with the hedge fund, right? Like, you can see my track record, everything's public. For the challenge accounts and stuff I've done over the years, those are public anyway. And I've showed him my own portfolio as well. And I can focus on this, but I'm not dealing with the admin. So my third friend, Matt, his name is Hawkes in the server. He's the one that's going to be doing all the admin work. So that we've already agreed on that. I said, look, I'll float all the paperwork your way, all the legislation is your way. I just deal with the behind the sales. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm good at. So I'm just going to focus on that. Exactly, don't want to cope with the FCA. But once I get a permit, once I get a visa, I'm just gonna I'll have dual citizenship with here in Nepal, and I'm also gonna get citizenship with Hong Kong if I can. I think there's a way you can do it. My friend was trying to explain it to me, I forgot. But once I do that, and I have a Hong Kong address with a Hong Kong ID and bank account, then obviously that'll make it much easier for me. $5 million gold card visa with the US. Yeah, US is tricky. I was gonna say, bro, I bet US is really, really tricky. Wait, right, bro, your current one is in the US, right? Is it really tricky for you to like get everything done, or are you going through like German laws to bypass it? No, it's not a you haven't been able to do it, but they've brought in something now where you can have dual citizenship, but the only thing I can't do is I can't vote or go into a government jobs basically, which is fine with me because I'm not trying to be a policeman anyway. I've already got families that are like, very high up in the police and the army forces in Nepal. So, but they have added a thing where I can go and buy land, I can do and so on and so forth. So when I go to Nepal in January, which is when I'm gonna go, I'm gonna get that sorted out. They added it very recently, which I'm very happy about. Yeah, something like that, brother. Yeah. Bro, it might be a stupid question. You're not Nepalese, are you? Because I saw you were eating momos the other day as well. I was like, huh? Are you? Oh, wait, are you? I can't tell. I can't tell if he's pulling my leg. Bedshake, are you genuinely Nepalese? Wait, तिमीलाई नेपाली आउँछ? On me, exactly. On me right now, bro. Prove it. On me right now. I feel like he's pulling my leg. Oh shit. I can't believe all this time I didn't clock my bro was Nepalese. That's crazy. Getting a AI voice ready. Yeah. He's got the Google Translate up. He's got Siri on one side and Google Translate on the other. I'm going to be speaking to AI and the AI is going to be replying to me. That's the best use for AI right there. Yeah, that always gets me, bro. That one's so funny, man. 4 very, very fluently, bro. So, Nepalese, Hindi / Urdu, I'm going to count that as one, even though I know there's slight differences. Then there's obviously English, and there's my tribal language, which is Tamang. I used to be like decent at Japanese, but I've not used it in so many years. Like, I wouldn't be able to hold one conversationally anymore. And Punjabi as well, I find it easy to understand, difficult to speak back, because even though it sounds so similar, the words are completely different. But I'm learning Thai, so hopefully I'll get good at that in like 6 months' time to a conversational level. And then after that, I'm going to learn Mandarin and Arabic. Those two I really want to learn. Mandarin and Arabic I really want to learn. Mando / Canto, right? Bollywood movies, bro, easy. I grew up watching it. Yeah, Arabic, I bet, is so tough, man. Arabic is super, super tough, yeah. But I think Arabic's such a beautiful language. It's so beautiful. People shit on, especially the West, they kind of shit on it thinking it's some cave dwellers language, but it couldn't be further from the truth. Arabic is it's like poetry. It's so nice. Nah, we don't homie hop here. Yeah. But when I was young, I used to be able to speak Sanskrit, because Sanskrit, Hindi, Nepalese, Urdu, many of these are based off the Sanskrit. But I forgot it because it's like Latin, right? Latin is a dead language. Like, there's no situation in real life where you're gonna go and speak like, pure Latin. Same with Sanskrit, since like even in Nepal, like it used to be compulsory for you to learn it, but then like we started adopting Western like curriculums, and then they just dropped Sanskrit, so it started being phased out slowly. So I really want to relearn Sanskrit because Sanskrit's so nice. Speak all the Nigerian dialects. I linked with the Igbo thing one time, and then she was telling me how to say my name is in Igbo. I think it's Makani Ini Doze. Makani Ini Doze. Weatherman. I think that's how I say my name is in Igbo. I could be mistaken if I'm remembering it wrong though. But yeah. Yeah, so for the clothing line, my friend's Nigerian. So like with Nigerian Independence Day, so on and so forth, you know, it always turn up proper hard. It's fun, man. Every time we go Milton Keynes, even though the shit is a shithole, still fun. Not actually Nigerian. Right. I think the AI didn't work for my bro bed shaker. Yeah, it's still shaking. The AI's not working, look. Oh damn, okay. Holy shit. Hey. Wait, so you're Tamang? Bro, I'm Tamang. My last name is Gole. What the fuck? I can't tell if this is some big ass psyop, bro. Ain't no way I met a Tamang from Nepal. Oh my days, holy shit. That's crazy. Bro, I did not know all this time. That's mental. Hey, where are you based right now? If you're in the UK, come link me. Oh, bro, I didn't realize. That's crazy, man. Australia. Bro, I plan to visit. I'll let you know when I'm there. We need to meet up, man. I've got family there, so yeah, I'll let you know. Are you Sydney, Melbourne, whereabouts? Regional Vic. Ah, okay. But yeah, I'll let you know, man. You know, if you can link up when I'm there, it'd be fire, bro. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. I can't believe I had someone the same cast as me, in this server all this time, and I didn't realize. Bro, I thought you were Indian. I can't lie. I'm not even lying. I thought you were from I thought you were from India. So I thought you were Indian. Holy shit, that's amazing. Bro, you never mentioned it. That's why you never mentioned it with Nepalese. Oh, Jesus Christ. That's funny. That's funny. Nah, that's great though, bro. No, we need to talk about this in greater detail at some point. But yeah, guys, I'll keep you updated on everything anyway. I'll do more of these streams. So even if I'm like, you know, right now very spare for the one-on-ones, obviously I'm not going anywhere. I don't want you guys to think I'm like phasing out of existence. I'm still here. You know, not like these people that's coming in just for a quick buck. Like trading for me is a lifelong skill set. Right? I'm going to be here as long as the markets are here. So I'll try my best to get you guys on the priority list. Don't worry. But yeah, it's up to my mates as well. They're very I think they want to keep it they want to keep it institutionalized right now. So, and I was wondering why you had a plate of momos the other day. I thought because you were like, oh yeah, I had to get some momos too. So I was like, oh, is this guy just gone to get some momos randomly? But I didn't clock that. That's funny as fuck, man. That's crazy. Yeah. By the way, John served with the Gurkhas, bro. I don't know if you have any family in the Gurkhas. So my granddad from my from my dad's side. He was captain in the Gurkhas, went to a lot of places. His earlier bedtime stories was telling me how he used to like, crawl tunnels, build like, dig tunnels underneath the Burmese and then spray like, machine gun fire up the wooden boards. That was my bedtime stories about, scenes of stomachs and intestines hanging off nail boards. Yeah, that's what he used to tell me when I went to bed. So my childhood was a bit traumatizing, but Special Forces, ex-Special Forces, by the way, John is, so. But yeah, I'll keep you guys updated on everything. I'll reach out, like, whenever I have time with whoever's I've spent, basically whoever's had the biggest gap. I'll just try to do it in terms of that. But like I said, if you guys do want the recordings, I'll just send it to everyone, right? I'll just send all of core for the people that are in core, all of advanced for people that are in advanced, and then you can go through those in your own pace. And then after I'm back, I would do the actual face-to-face sessions where we go over, all the topics, any questions you might have, so on and so forth. I was ready to surf, bro. Like I genuinely, I was at a stage because obviously I grew up, like, I grew up in the mountains. I grew up in the Himalayas. I had the fitness to pass the Gurkha test. I'm sure I did because I used to train for it all the time. Because the thing is, right, with the Gurkhas, it's the hardest selection process there is. Out of, I think, 10,000 men, only about 100 make it in. So it's like 0.01% acceptance rate. And the actual thing to get accepted is also very, very solid. Like, you're not training on flat ground, right? You're training up very, very high mountains. Like, everything you do, you're doing with I don't know if you've seen the Doka race, which is where you've got this like straw basket on your back with the strap. The only thing you can hold it up with your head, right? With your neck. You have like so many kilos of rocks, huge, like double-digit kilos of rocks on your back. You have to go running for the whole day. Mountainous terrain, never flat ground. It's different. It's absolutely different. So at one point, like, and I could murk all that because when you're growing up in a military family, like, that's what you want to do. My granddad was in the military, won this medal. My dad served, so on and so forth. When everyone's saying that, you want to serve too, right? But my granddad wasn't really like, pushing about it. My dad definitely did not want me in the military whatsoever. So I was sent to a boarding school when I was young. I hated it. It was still a military school, but it was like, I had to stay there basically. I was fucking hated it. It was terrible, man. It was worse than, like, I swear to God, it was like, it was terrible. But it's still a lot of good habits in me, so there's that at least. But yeah, to be honest though, when I went to uni, so on and so forth, I didn't think, like, even like a year ago, I wasn't thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna open my own hedge fund in one day. Like, all of these sort of things just came and happened just over time, right? Like, it sort of just kind of fell in place. Like, even like 4 years ago, I remember at one point being in uni, like, what the fuck am I actually going to do with my life? Like, yeah, I can trade, but do I only just want to trade? That doesn't seem very, like, that's not something like you tell your parents, oh yeah, I'm a trader. You think they're going to be proud telling the community that? Hell no. You've got to be an engineer, a doctor, or, a lawyer. Otherwise, you got pressure, man. But yeah, I feel like everything's slotting into place right now. So I'm kind of like, basically, in terms of market terms, I'm trying to keep that momentum going, right? That's it. So that's why I'm pushing so hard right now. Yeah, so when I trade the fund, like, for example, I'm a discretionary trader. We might have some quants. I've got a friend, I think I mentioned this. He's one of the people I'm going to be meeting with in London. He already works for a French hedge fund, right? He's fresh out of Oxford, masters from Oxford. Very, very clever guy. Like, in the quant world, that's what you want, right? Asian kid, fresh out of Oxford with a master's. His thesis was like, creating some master code that is some crazy shit. That's the kind of people, like, in the quant world, the fund's absolutely cream after. So we're going to see if we can try to lure him away. I don't think it will, because it's going to be a big risk. You're already working for an established hedge fund versus coming into somewhere that's not even properly open yet. But we're going to float it by him. Or even if not him, we're going to see if he knows anyone that'd be interested, so on and so forth. So see if we can get our own quant in. But yeah, so what I do is discretionary trading. I do not trade based on an algorithm. I don't code an algorithm. I simply, based on a human level, analyze patterns, analyze key levels based on what I think to be significant, just try to understand the behavior between buyers and sellers, the psychology of the market participants as best as I can, and execute. That's all I'm going to be doing. Yeah. The only thing, my main port is already like, at the size where the hedge fund's going to start at anyway, so it's not like I'm going to be dealing with insane amounts of money I've never dealt with before. So I'm just going to be doing that. The only difference is it's not going to be just my money, obviously. So there's going to be the extra pressure of, oh shit, if I fuck up, there's going to be all these angry, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's going to be all these investors that's going to be down. That's the only extra piece of pressure, but that's something you learn to deal with. I'll get it done. So I've got family coming over, a family I've not seen from ages, the ones that live in Brighton, coming over this week. So I'll start sending them out by Thursday, and if I don't get it finished by the end of Thursday, I'll resume again Wednesday, by Tuesday evening / Wednesday evening next week. But one thing I'll say is, like, it's really nice, like, being like just here with you guys as well, because bro, for the longest time, one thing I tell people is trading is a very, very lonely game. It's very, very lonely. It's nice now because I've got, like, you guys, right? I've got like-minded people here, people I've got really close to even, to like sort of share this with, like, we've been through the market together, we've been through the ups and the downs. But bro, majority of the time, like, especially ever since I was young, when I was like, creating my system, back testing, when I was growing my account from fuck all to the size it is today, bro, that's all done on my ones. There was no one. I don't have any friends who trade. I don't have anyone in real life who understands what's going on. Trading is a very lonely game. So it's nice to be in a position like this as well, where I've got, even though it's not big, it's like a small but, like, talented group of individuals with like similar mindsets, right? So that's why I really like this place, which is why I'm also not making it public. Bro, the amount of DMs I've got making, oh, how do I get into the bunker? I don't see a link. You're not getting in. Like, it's not open. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I could make this a public server that getting monthly payments, but I don't need the money. I'd rather just keep this tight. That's it. Yeah. It's like, you see, like, when you're in this game, you'll see it, right? You'll be gone for a long time. Especially, like, I've had many phases in my life where it's quote unquote, like, chilling in the mountains kind of vibes, where you just go off, put your head down, and just get to work, right? You'll disappear. Sometimes it won't work out, but sometimes it will. You work out. Like, I remember last time I met some really close friends, and last time I was trading, this was years ago, but I was trading with, like, like a 5-figure port. And I met up with my friends like a year and a half later, and at this point my port had bloomed to nearly 7 figures, right? And I was trying to tell them, oh yeah, like, how have you been? They're just telling me, and I tell them, oh yeah, like, I've got to this, and you can sense that sort of like they're not really excited for you, or like, you know what I mean? Like, you can sense the energy shift. That's it, bro. You can sense it. Like, even people you grew up with. So this game is like, it's gonna cut people off from you if you get good at it. It's a very, very lonely game, and I mean that. But through that you filter out the quality, right? So the people that I do have around me, my circle, bro, my circle's smaller than a wedding ring. Like, I'm not lying. My circle's very, very small. In real life, I keep them very, very close. Like, when I was younger, my circle used to be way bigger, but as I grew up, energy shifts happens. Like, honestly, right now my circle smaller than a fucking wedding ring. I'm not joking. But it's quality, right? That quality is going to get me way further in life than any sort of quantity can. So, a bit of life lesson, I suppose. For anyone in trading, it will happen. There's always leechers. There's always people that's not going to be happy for you. You can't let that hold you back. You can't. Like, the only people I've told about this is, like, obviously in recording, people are going to hear on YouTube, but I've not told anyone in my real life I'm doing this. There's my partner, there's my mum, my dad, and there's my friends I'm doing it with. I've not told anyone else. Literally no one. No one knows. It's all private. I'm not going to be saying anything until we've got, like, enough funds at, like, maybe like 8 figures one day. That's when, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll manage with this hedge fund. I'm going to keep it quiet. There's no point. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I just keep it quiet nowadays. Work in the shadows, exactly. yeah, I'll keep you guys updated on everything, right? And if I do manage to, if my friends are okay with, like, if you guys are interested in having a less buy-in in the future whenever we go public, I don't know when that would be. Could be years. I no idea. But only after all the paperwork's laid out. If I can get, like, lower the buy-in bar for you guys, I'll do it. Um, I'd say my turning point was during the start of uni, bro. Because up until uni, I was still, like, my system was still under development. Like, there was buy-seller zones I already had, right? Fibs I already had, but not perfected. Key inflection areas I already had. But things with, like, for example, with volume profile, so on and so forth, I hadn't clocked that. I wasn't as heavily into order flow as I was now. But I've had a lot of eureka moments in uni. A lot of eureka moments. Some of the biggest losses I took were in the start of uni. And there were points in uni where I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, very close to quitting, but I just kept pushing through. And eventually, yeah, I just ended up in the position I am now. But yeah, I've taken some big losses, man. I know people think it's all like, it's all green. And obviously when I post the challenge accounts and stuff now, it's like I'm at a position where I feel like I know what I'm doing, right? I'm not saying I know what's going to happen. I don't run the markets, but I've got enough of a sense of, I've been in these markets for long enough, and I know my system well enough to know when I'm going to take bets, when I'm not, when I'm going to size up, when I'm going to size down, so on and so forth. So when I post all these, like, challenge account P&Ls and everything's in the green, I don't want you guys to think, oh, like, I'm just trying to flex, I made money. Like, it's to show you guys that with transparency, right? That's very important, because people say I'm opening a challenge account. Anyone who says I'm opening a challenge account, they never show their dollar amounts. If you're opening a challenge account publicly, you need to show your dollars, otherwise it's not valid, right? Showing the dollars, doing everything publicly to show you guys how it looks like, right? Not how it goes. We've been sideways in the red for a long time. We weren't really, there wasn't much up there. I kept telling you guys nothing's happening. We're pretty much a break even right now. And then after that, everything just absolutely pops off, right? So if you can get that challenge account right now, that 20k challenge account, my goal is, if I can get it to, like, 6 figures, I'm happy. But any very close to 6 figures, even a 3x, right? 60k, 80k, 4x, I'd be completely happy with that challenge account. And then we can try and grow it to 6 figures, multiple 6 figures on the downturn, right? Take that challenge account to whatever we make. I'll take some money out, obviously, and then whatever's left, we'll take that as a new challenge account, and then we'll bias the shorts instead once the market goes bearish. But yeah, I've taken some big losses, bro. The biggest loss I ever took in a day is, like, bro, very close to 6 figures. It was an insane scalp loss, but yeah, that was a shit trade I took. Absolutely terrible. Yeah, bro, I remember I couldn't sleep. Like, I was just numb for the whole day. I felt like I was sort of like tuning out on my own life, kind of. Like, it was absolutely terrible. There's nothing else I've ever felt like that. This is absolutely, that was the most painful feeling I've ever had, because it's a different type of pain. No, I've not told my parents. I've not told my parents, for hell no. Are you mad? Hell no. But yeah, that's the worst. That was right at the start of uni. That was like 6 years ago now, a bit more than 6 actually. But that's the most painful, yet the thing I learned the most from. I'd say that was my plateau breaker, believe it or not. I've told my parents unrealized, like, I'm down 3 million this cycle because of NFTs, because that seems a bit nicer. Like, oh, I've not lost any money, but I could have had this. But if I say, oh no, I lost this much, they'd flip their shit, bro. They told me to go get another degree and go be a doctor or something. Yeah. But yeah, I remember what that was like. Like, it felt like I was tuning up, bro. I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was like, my whole chest was like compressing in. I don't know how to explain. I feel like I was tuning out my own life. It's like when you're going down a long tunnel and it kind of stretches out. I feel like a whole lot. People trying to talk to me, I don't hear it. I'm just numb, right? I can't think, I can't feel anything. I'm just numb. And then after that, like, there's a few days of actual cope. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm in tears, this and that. And after that, it's sort of like the doom and gloom, straight depression. And then you kind of crawl your way back from there. But it took me a while to get straight from that, man. Yeah, bro, literally. That's it. Is that... Nah, I've done the only drugs I've done MD once in my life. Crazy night, it was for my 20th. And apart from that, like, just weed here and there. But I don't do drugs. MD's really good though. MD was sick. You too, Adam, bro. Nice talking to you, man. See you soon. But yeah, I've not, ever since then, it's like that's when you realize, okay, shit, people say risk management, this is what you really mean. Because it's not even like I took the most shit trade. It's more so like it was just at an unlucky point in the market where it's just everything just fucking nukes against you. It's one of those ones. Yeah, part of the learning curve is what it is. Yeah, so I'm just gonna share, because with Ryu, I pretty much finished both core and advanced, right? We just have the consolidation lesson left. So I'll just send his recordings. I'll give you access rather to everyone. And so with the group classes here, I'm gonna progress like normal. Because since it's group classes, like an hour, I can get like 5 people done. The group classes, I'll progress like normal, right? And like I said, until whenever I can, I will DM people and get face-to-face one-on-ones in, but I will also send you guys the recordings for if I can't, because there's a lot I need to do in person by hand for the restaurant. I'm not paying like 10 grand for tables and chairs. I can just make that myself with my friends, bro. Like, what I mean? Just buy wood. I could probably get it done for a G. I could probably have the whole tables, chairs, everything. But bespoke chairs and tables made by hand. That'd be more satisfying too. I'd rather do that. So, yeah. New market. A few bags. I don't know what it was, Duke, bro. I don't know what it was that day. I wasn't particularly paying attention to order flow. Everything happened so quick, right? Typically, you don't go minus 6 figures. My position size was probably a bit too big. It actually definitely was too big. Because it wasn't like, I lost that over the course of a day, bro. It was like, I lost that in like 15 minutes. Like, it was 6 figures down. I was like, fuck. But yeah. Yeah, bro, on a scalp, that was the worst. Ever since then, I've been very mindful of my actual scalp portfolio. Yeah, 15 minutes, bro, is the worst time frame. 15 minutes is typically good, but if things go wrong in the 15, for those of you that scalp with size, like John knows what I'm talking about. If you do something wrong in the 15, you get absolutely screwed over, which is why when I scalp, I prefer either tick-based entries now, right? Or like 1 minute to 3 minutes. But yeah, hell no with the 15-minute entries, no more. Unless I'm sizing up, I do not enter on the 15 for this reason. If you guys ever wondered why do I enter on the 1-3 and only use 15 for the size up, because that's what I say, is because of this loss. I never ever enter on the 15. Yeah. So you can say, yeah, that set me back like probably a decent amount, because obviously if you're talking compounding, like, I probably would be up like a few mil higher right now. If I hadn't took that loss, right? But it's what it is. Like I said, it's a part of the learning curve, right? Because before this, I hadn't made any big mistakes, and after this, I haven't. It's almost like this is like an anomaly, but it's such a bad anomaly in terms of a loss. Like, it's terrible. The only people that know I made this loss is now you guys, my sister, and my partner, because I was in front of them when I did it. That's the peak thing, bro. I played it off when it happened, like, oh shit, yeah, I lost this much. At the moment, like, I played it off because I couldn't grasp what the fuck I just done. But yeah, they saw me just break down over the course of the day and the week. I was like, fucking hell. Yeah, very, very numb. But yeah, so, when I tell you guys, like, especially, like, for those of you that have got to advance and we do that first lesson in mindset differences, right? The reason I include that is everything I do, everything I say, every time I have a rule is because I've experienced something. I'm not just pulling this out my ass, right? It's because I've experienced something. So I think, okay, for me, this would have negated that, so on and so forth. So it's sort of like, fail safes in case to like help you guys out. Lose emotion. Yeah, but to be honest, ever since then, like, money hasn't phased me. Like, I've lost, wins, it doesn't matter. I'm up 6-7 figures. It's what it is. It's numbers. And what they say, don't stare at money too long, man. It's Medusa. Don't do it. It's a tool, man. It's a tool. But yeah, right, guys. I'm not gonna take up too much of your time with just mindless talk. Yeah, I'll probably do another stream before this week's over, before my family comes, because I have a feeling something probably going to happen this week, since we are going to get a monthly close next week. So I'll try and get one done by like, Thursday night or Friday night. And yeah, so like I said, even when I'm in Asia, don't worry, I'm going to buy a Wi-Fi stick. I will have my laptop. We'll do regular sessions. You're not going to be missing out on anything. I'll just be in Asia time, slightly different. But apart from that, all's good. Yeah, no, it's my pleasure, guys. Like I said, I do this not because, like, I do this because I want to, right? That's one thing I tell, because I have a few friends who own their own Discords, but no one does it. Everyone does it as a service, right? This Discord I don't do as a service, right? It's just like an extra thing for you guys. But I love spending time with you guys, so I don't mind at all. It's my pleasure. But yeah. So I'll get back to everyone. Like, I'll just DM everyone, like, in the order of who hasn't had the lesson the longest for the face-to-faces. And then apart from that, I will also begin, like, sending out just the recordings of every advanced call to everyone, so you guys have access to it. And once I'm back properly, we have all the time in the world to actually go through the face-to-face sessions as well, right? But yeah, sure, have a good day, bro. Talk to you soon. What a mindfuck. I still can't believe it was Nepalese all this time, man. That's crazy. Kaka. No problem, guys. It's my pleasure. I'll stop this recording here. I'll put it on YouTube, and I'll see you guys soon. Yeah, goodbye.